Okay, so 4. All you. Yep.
Why did your team change
Okay,
up their lineup?
good.
Jill's broken. And she can't walk. She's not playing. They said she'll either play tomorrow or she'll play tonight. She cannot do both. I think so, yeah. They're just trying to not intimidate the other team with the 6-footer.
What?
They're trying not to intimidate them with the 6-footer going in.
What was that for time?
Oh, hello, Pat. Yeah, I'm good.
Funny meeting you here.
Yeah.
Sweet for tea, guys.
You guys having a good spiel.
So far, yeah. Gotta keep going.
I can't cheer for you today. You're playing against my nephew, but that's okay.
Pretty positive.
No, you still can. You just don't have to tell them. We won't share, don't worry.
T-line! T!
This isn't it, I don't think.
Gotta be button! Gotta be button!
Shouldn't be. Because he threw it before that.
Yeah.
It shouldn't. That shouldn't be the one that counts. But he threw it. Like, it was happening on the sheet when they started the thing. Like, he threw it when practice was still happening.
I'll leave her winning hammer.
Oh no. I just like to be difficult.
That might be on video, but
And then he throws a Dixie, so he used to do the ice for 3 years.
Hello and welcome back to Title Sports Live and our coverage of the 2020 Curl-On Under-21 Men's and Women's Provincial Championship, coming to you live from the Guelph Curling Club here in Guelph, Ontario. I'm Matthew Hall, and with me I have Perry Marshall. We're bringing you the action all week long. And Perry, we're on to the last draw of an exciting moving day here in Guelph. And fair to say, I think we have an exciting matchup lined up for us tonight here, as we have undefeated Team Mooibroek at 4-0 taking on Team Hahn with a record of 1-3. And I think we're getting to that point in the week. We're now past the halfway point, and we can start saying that this might be a must-win game here for Team Hahn if they want to stay in playoff contention moving into the final day of the round robin tomorrow.
Absolutely, Matt. This is a vital game for Team Hahn. Important that they establish a victory here, keep them in the hunt. Going to 4 losses would certainly be very detrimental to their cause. But we can review where we are in the standings. We did say that Mooibroek was 4-0. They're joined there by the surprise team on the men's draw, Team Jordan McNamara. And they're having an exceptional event at 4-0. We have as well Team Purdy from the Cataraqui Golf and Country Club sitting at 3-1. And Landon Rooney at 2-2. So those are the teams that are starting to position themselves for playoffs. So Team Hahn here at 1-3 really needs a victory, needs to bring Mooibroek back to the pack. And allow themselves an opportunity to grab one of those last playoff spots or a tiebreaker.
Of course, and we see a number of teams at 1-3. In fact, 3 teams really fighting to stay alive. They want to pull those leading teams, the teams like Purdy, Mooibroek, and McNamara back to the rest of the field in order to stay alive. But really through this moving day, we've seen the emergence of those 3 teams rising to the top here. And it's really up to them to keep their position. Only 2 draws remaining after this draw is completed tomorrow in order to choose the playoff spots. And with only 3 teams advancing to the playoffs, it's definitely up to them to stay where they are.
Yeah, we do have 2 other teams at 1-3. Brady Lumley's team from the Welland Curling Club and also Nicholas Bizanet from Coldwater and District. So again, they're all hopeful that Team Hahn tonight can bring Team Mooibroek back to the pack.
Absolutely. So Hahn has a lot to play for to stay alive here in the championship. Team Mooibroek hoping to continue their momentum that they've built all week long. Should be an exciting game here. The pregame practices are finished. Team Hahn has won the hammer, and we're underway here in the first end.
Now, Team Mooibroek, a highly experienced team. Ryan Hahn been here, I think, all 4 years of his junior eligibility. So I don't think we're going to have any hesitation in this game to start to put scoring on the board.
I agree, and we see right here in the first end the center guard being thrown to start by Team Mooibroek, really wanting to continue the momentum that they built. Team Hahn not shying away, drawing right around, although maybe slipping in a little bit deep and not quite getting the amount of curl they were hoping for.
Lead Spencer Dunlop sitting in that first position for Team Mooibroek. Again, another left-handed curler here. Our third one in our future games.
We've seen a number of them for sure. Definitely representing themselves well, too. We've seen some good curling for sure.
Spencer's attempt at a little hit and roll is going to just catch that guard he put up earlier and separate those two. So a bit of an advantage early for Team Hahn.
Of course, both of these skips having playoff experience at these championships. Ryan Hahn himself qualifying for the playoffs, I believe 3 years ago, back when provincials were at the Russell Curling Club, finishing with a semifinal finish. Team Mooibroek, of course, are the defending runners-up at this event, so I'm sure both teams are really hoping that they can continue some momentum if you're Team Mooibroek, gain some momentum if you're Team Hahn, and jump into the playoffs, and I'm sure Mooibroek would like to get that one extra game under his belt when it comes down to it, when we hit the playoffs all day Monday.
I think you have to at least
this is going to come up
it's
short
be a draw
again.
at the end.
So we've commented on this in the past where, again, and during the practices, they're moving into the middle all the time on that draw for the button. And when they come into the games and they start those first shots early in the first and second end going out inside out, again, the ice just not quite as worked in.
Yeah, so much of your practice is spent focusing on those draws to the button that those paths really get up to speed and you can get caught really quickly, especially early in the games. I would imagine that maybe they even threw the exact same weight on that draw to the wing as they would have for their draw for hammer, but nobody throws those paths to the wings in their 7-minute practice, so it's really just that much slower and ends up coming up light as a halfway guard.
Ryan Frias with attempted a hit and roll, hits and just stays right in the same spot in the house. Ryan throwing second rocks for Team Mooibroek.
And the second for Team Hahn is Eric Just. This team representing the St. Catharines Golf and Country Club. Eric makes his home in Ancaster, Ontario, and is currently attending McMaster University. While we're at it, why don't we take a look at the lineups for these two teams. First up, Team Mooibroek representing the Galt Country Club. The lead is Spencer Dunlop. Second, Ryan Fayaz. Third is Matt Garner. The skip is Sam Mooibroek. The coach, Ron Mooibroek, and the alternate, Charlie Randall. From the St. Catharines Golf and Country Club, we have Team Hahn. Lead, Riley Griffith. Second, Eric Just. Third, Jake Goves. Skip, Ryan Hahn. The coach, Byron Scott, and alternate, Ryan Godfrey. And as we already see in this game a little bit, Riley Griffith not feeling very well earlier in this championship, so he has been sitting a couple games, and we do see the alternate, Ryan Godfrey, in. So not quite getting the roll there if you're Team Mooibroek. So Eric Just is going to try and follow them down here, down a new spot. Try to attempt to remove this red rock and hopefully roll behind the corner, hit into a good spot.
And on the sheet all week, we've seen these inside out hits stand up pretty straight.
Yeah, especially when the ice is still working. And I think once they break the frost down a little bit more, you will still see a little bit more curl. But I think that's as they adjust till later on in the game, when they get more comfortable with the sheet underneath them, they start to bring the weight down a little bit. And I think you will see a decent amount of curl on these shots inside out when you're able to bring the weight down to more of a board or light control type weight. Early on in this game, of course, seeing them throw those little bit more weight like the normals or the firm weight, because it's still a little bit fresh and just not quite getting the amount of curl that they would hope for.
Matt a little tight on that hit and rolls out. And now we'll see Ryan Hahn perhaps take advantage of those corners.
Of course, final draw of moving day for the men here, but here at the Guelph Curling Club, if you've been following us along, you'll know that we do have 8 sheets out here, so all men and women are playing at the exact same time. So also a big draw here for the women. Game to watch over on sheet 1. Team Ladisseur and Team Sutherland both leading the field with 3-run records, playing each other. Definitely going to be keeping an eye over there, and we'll update you on scores across the sheets as we go through the game today, so you can keep track on every game you'd like to watch.
Jake Gove's attempt at a draw in behind there, and just a little up on the speed, and goes on through the house. So now Matt Garner will take advantage of that, put the pressure on Ryan Hahn.
Line's good.
So again, we have 2 left-handers on Team Mooibroek.
Yeah, both the lead and the vice, Matt Garner and Spencer Dunlop, both left-handed curlers. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, obviously it's been working quite well for them with an undefeated record, but it does adjust. It does change where the broom needs to come down a little bit when you're over in the house. If you're Sam Mooibroek, I'm sure they've talked about it. I'm sure after a couple of years they figured out exactly what that adjustment needs to be, but a little bit change in where the broom comes down, so it'll be interesting to watch the difference between the 2 teams on some of the shots.
We've had 2 attempts down this line, and now Jake Groves is going to try one more.
Let's see if he's learned from his compatriots here and takes a little bit of the weight off. This one is definitely not heavy. The sweepers are working hard on this one. They're by the guard. Are they going to get it to the spot they want? It looks pretty close. It looks like they're going to get it right into the 8-foot and even grab a piece of the 4-foot. So an excellent shot there. Adjusting well from the 2 shots that he saw before him, and in order to put that into a good spot, good communication as well by the sweepers to know exactly where that rock was going to go.
Good sweep by that front end. And again, here we are with our second men's draw. We've had 3 women's draws in the 5 that we've done, and just seeing that difference in men's and women's sweeping.
Absolutely. You know, you just notice that there's been a couple times when we're watching the men's game that I'm not entirely sure about where the broom is coming down. But you got to remember just that little bit of extra sweeping ability here on the men's side of the event, and they're able to hold those rocks a little bit straighter, drag them a little bit farther, and put those rocks exactly where they want them to be.
Sam Mooibroek looking at a freeze with his first shot.
5, 6.
Sam is from Kitchener, and as the team plays out of the Golf Country Club, and he goes to school up at Algonquin College. Baseball is an outside interest for Sam, and obviously he's in that camp where he doesn't like to lose when he curls.
I think we can all say that, Perry. I think that's the reason why everyone's out here on the ice. But so a little bit of a slight miss there by Sam down that path, ending up a little bit heavy. So maybe a little, maybe is it just getting a little bit quicker every rock down that path, do you think?
I think it looks like it, yes.
So a little bit of a roll off gives Ryan Hahn the opportunity here. Does not want to stick right on the nose. He would love to roll away, I think, to the side 8-foot. Really put a lot of pressure on Sam Mooibroek to try and come up with a good shot to keep Hahn to 1 or 2.
Well, and Sam's a pretty experienced player, so if Ryan does make that good shot, I'm sure he'll just take his medicine of the 2 and move on to the next end.
Absolutely. We talk about a 10-end game and a lot of time left if you do give up a deuce in this first end. Sure, I'm with you exactly. I think that's the smartest call you can do. Just hit a rock, give up the 2, and move forward. Although this one over curling a little bit, ends up right on the nose.
And going to give Sam an opportunity for a double.
Firm.
Interesting to see what turn he might play at this. Of
Staying
course,
firm there.
looks like he is going to play the in turn, but I think the out turn might
Although
be there as
firm
well,
is what's
especially with how
wrong.
straight we've seen this
I don't
spot
mind
all
firm.
week.
And again, them having not played this sheet and not knowing
Firm.
us being able to
Oh, I'm
watch
just
some
going
of the
firm.
other sheets, just the know how straight this can
by
get
the
if you
guard.
throw that weight up.
It's like a quarter.
Now this is a really scary spot. That tiny little bit of an outward
Be
movement we
careful.
see is completely exaggerated
Yes,
by
yes,
the
Michael.
ice. Even just the slightest little inch out, if it's on the release, the rock will continue to float all the way down the sheet, and it can make you. It's made a lot of curlers look silly here this week, but we'll see how Sam is able to adjust to that.
Get going, Matt. All the way, Matty.
He's
All
asking
the
a
way,
lot of Matt to try and hold
All
this
the way,
line.
Matt. Do the splits.
And he moves it far enough to sit shot rock. So didn't get the double, but got the result.
I didn't want to be tight. So I gave myself a lot of ice, but well, I knew it was gonna snap once we got off center, right? Like, I think if I take less, we nose the guard. Like I was saying, like throw it there.
So
and have
Ryan
it
Hahn
straight.
here with his final shot in the first end. Of course, this is exactly the path that he would have played for his draw for Hammer
It was like
in
an
his
inch.
pregame practice, albeit going the other way, but I'll expect Ryan to be pretty close on this one.
See what this does.
Make sure we're there.
Split time a little down.
Make sure we're there.
Sweepers are on this one early.
Yeah, definitely going to need a big drag by his sweepers here to get it far enough. They're really working on this one, heads down the whole way.
15 seconds hog to hog, and they're working hard to get this one to full 8.
Was he?
But
It looks
they're gonna
like
get
they
it.
will. So an excellent sweep there by Ryan Hahn. Sure, that's why he pays them as well as he
Doesn't look
does.
like it, 'cause that
Gets that
shouldn't have
rock
curled that
there in
far.
order to get his 1 point and take a
look
1-0 lead over Team Mooibroek, although they will have the hammer moving into the
really
second
tight
end
on
of
that.
play here.
They might be asking
That
for an
shouldn't
early
have curled
raise.
that far. Okay.
The one from Jake and the one from Ryan.
It's like how do we get the center line with edge 8?
Good force, but
That was awful. Yeah. Let's make a shot this end before my last one.
6.
So Ryan Godfrey will lead us off here in the second end, and he again is another Carleton University student. We've seen a number of them
You
with
didn't
the
like that
number
one,
of
Brady?
Ottawa teams we've had in the area for this year's championship. And he's a computer engineering student.
We've seen a lot of engineers here
Yes,
this
yes.
week.
God, we've got some smart kids out here. And he actually likes math and science.
We're running heavy. Whoa.
Llamas and boating.
Whoa.
I think we better ask some more questions about the llamas.
No, it's good.
Of course, we do want to let you know that you can rewatch any of our Title Sports Live broadcasts immediately following the conclusion of every game. It is posted up on the website at titlesportslive.ca. So you can watch any of the 4 draws that we have televised already this provincial or any of our previous provincials. And immediately following the conclusion of every game, they will be uploaded there as well if you would like to rewatch them.
Line's good.
So Sam, a very experienced
Might
skip,
die.
will obviously try and set up a deuce here in the second
Yeah,
end,
you're getting into the crappy
and
stuff.
may
Let's
well
go.
take advantage of that rock that slipped behind the tee
Good,
line.
Spency. Little new there. Ryan, little new. Looked like you threw it pretty hard for a corner. Oh, it's a good spot. So like a 360 for the rest of us?
So Ryan Godfrey attempting to make a little bit of a better shot here, trying to put it where they wanted it to start. Top 4.
All you, look up. 6, 5.
Calling 6-5. This means it's close to where they want it.
Whoa, line is holding.
And there's that comment that we're going to be waiting to hear all game long, that it is holding down that spot. And we have seen that all week long. So take out your notebooks and keep tabs. That spot has wreaked havoc on many of the teams here at the provincial championships. Just not quite getting the amount of curl that any of them would like in that spot. So a little bit of an adjustment is going to have to be made as we watch throughout the game, but I'm sure they'll be pretty close more often than not.
And Sam's going to come in early and try and move those rocks around and get a little roll in behind that guard he placed instead of putting it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Believing that those 2 rocks in the 4-foot, he doesn't want to leave those there, would like to do something with them. Ideally, I think he'd love to make the double here and roll towards his corner guard, but I'm sure he'll be just as happy with this, making the 1 hit and rolling towards that corner guard, trying to bring play towards the corner as much as he can. That's how you generate your 2 with the hammer.
Again, a great deal of experience on the Mooibroek team. Spencer Dunlop, a Western University player. Ryan Fayez at Ryerson University, of course, and Humber College for Matt Garner.
Sure, you would have some experience then working with Ryan as head coach of the Ryerson program for the past handful of years.
And had Ryan as a coach before he even joined the program, so I do know Ryan quite well.
Whoa. Okay, we're not. Okay, it's good. 9-6.
Well, looks good.
A little heavy. But Jake, I thought we were going to be off in 4 hours.
So let's see if Ryan is able to generate that little bit of a roll.
Close. Yeah, go ahead. Matt!
Asking Matt to hold the line now. It took a little bit of a jump
Really got to
there.
go, Matty. Got to go to stick.
Yeah, that seemed to really go almost unnaturally sideways halfway down the sheet. As soon as they started to put Spencer Dunlop on that, just took a quick break towards the side of the sheet, which I think maybe we haven't seen quite as many shots out that far towards the wing this week. So possibly a spot they might have to keep in mind for later on in this game.
So Ryan Hahn seeing a little bit of danger with that corner guard. Will ask Eric Just to remove it.
To the middle. Did you touch it?
A little bit of a fall there by Jacobs, but a great recovery, getting back up to sweep the rest of the way. Not quite the result that they would have liked there, only rolling towards the center line rather than rolling out. But of course, if you're Team Hahn, a center is better than a corner, so a little bit of improvement there.
Oh, it's good.
Sweepers brooms up on this one. I'm thinking this one is a bit,
No,
heavy
you're never
for
touching
Ryan.
this. You're already off, Matt. You're already off it.
Looking for a B plan.
Okay.
The shot just a little bit heavy, even with the wick on that yellow rock being too much, rolling through the rings. Opportunity here for Team Hahn to draw around this center guard and put a little bit more pressure on Team Mooibroek.
Again, back to that discussion on communication. Again, a little miscommunication there on just exactly what that weight was, because I'm certain that Sam would have taken a little hit and roll on that if he knew that that rock was certainly backline to backline plus.
Absolutely. Definitely had the opportunity there to sweep that a little bit early and maybe save that shot a little bit more.
Whoa! Whoa!
Especially with the sweepers he has in Spencer Dunlop and Matt Garner.
Whoa! You have to leave it high. Okay, Jake.
Unfortunately,
Again,
this
come a little
shot
deep.
slipping in a little bit deep
That's
as
probably the
well.
best
So
shot.
opportunity right back for Team Mooibroek to keep this
Like you freeze
game
it,
or end in a
freezes.
good position for them.
Pretty awful. Yeah, just make this. Hack! Hit it skinny and sit, it's not bad. Hack weight. It's running pretty straight.
Throwing the third stones for Team Mooibroek is Matt Garner. This not actually the original lineup that they started the season with, from what I understand. Originally had Ryan Fayez throwing the vice rocks with Matt Garner throwing second. Not quite getting the results that they would have liked in some of the early spiels, so got together as a team and decided to make this change. As a coach, Perry, have you ever had
Nice,
experience in
Vance.
maybe sort of a mid-season position change
Nice,
like this? Or
Vance.
what would you suggest to a team
Ryan.
who might have to do that in order to find success? Because
Easy.
clearly it's worked well for
Big roll,
Team
big roll,
Mooibroek
big
here,
roll.
starting off this championship undefeated.
Yeah,
was
certainly
terrible.
have had experience with that, and again, you
Can we
have to
play
have a
better?
team that's open-minded
Please.
about it, and individual players who are willing to make the necessary change, and maybe even a sacrifice, maybe a little bit of ego change as well too. You know, I am of ice. Well, maybe I should be playing second. Ryan and I haven't talked about this, so I'm not sure what would have precipitated that change, but my own experience with
speed
Ryan
looks
is
pretty
that he'll
quick.
do just about anything that benefits the team.
And I think that's exactly the
Yeah,
kind
as
of
soon as
player you
Ben's
look
touched
for
it,
when you're
just kinda
trying to
soft
put a team
grab.
together. Anything
Oh, just
to
kinda
try and
grab.
get the W's up on that board, right? Those are the kinds of players that you look for. And so Jake goes here trying to lock one into the button. With, if he can make this really good and maybe just bump that yellow a little bit. He doesn't quite do that, but he does get right to the nose of that red. So it's going to be fairly difficult for Sam to remove that yellow stone now, although looks like he's going to call a little bit of a tap. So he'd love to get to the nose of the yellow rock that Jake just threw, make a little bit of a bump to unlock the yellow stone and sit shot on the button.
Whoa! Got a curl.
So again, that spot that we've
Mine's
been
not.
waiting and waiting for the curl.
Spencer, you gotta go.
The teams just have to see it and wait. And
Gotta
believe
go,
it.
buddy. Gotta go to sit for second, maybe.
Absolutely, and we've seen this happen plenty of times this week. Just getting caught on that straight spot on the left
Make
side of the sheet
something
coming
nice.
home towards the glass.
Just
I think another thing to keep an eye on is, of course, we've talked about it all week, just how important it is, the amount of communication and team dynamics and mechanics that have been developed between these two teams. Of course, Ryan Hahn, new team this year, spent many years playing with the same team over time, the team that he did make the provincial playoffs with a few years ago. After this, had a couple of his teammates aged out, so changed up the team, has a completely new
they gotta redo these
team
rocks.
this year, whereas Team Mooibroek, with a couple of years of experience, of course their
What do we have?
experience coming as a second place finisher at these championships last year, having a little bit more time to maybe work on those mechanical sort of nuances that you need a little bit more time to work on, and those communication protocols.
Could miss the back one.
So Ryan Hahn looking to keep the pressure on, and the sweepers are signaling that perhaps the weight's up a bit.
Shouldn't curl.
Tighter line.
This line is looking pretty good. It's all about the weight at this point, so it's up to the sweepers to put this in a really good spot for Ryan. I think that's about as good as you could do if you're Ryan Hahn.
It's kind of how I drew it up on the charts.
Yeah.
I don't see anything else, dude. Like, make that.
One of these things you get used to when you're coaching and use the Girl
What's up,
Coach
dude? He throws it
platform.
back. I have to make this
You
event.
really
I
want
can
it
only
there.
make this for one purpose, to give him
You know it's a good shot when it matches what you've already put down on the stat sheet. All right, so it looks like Team Mooibroek just trying to play the cold freeze onto the button, onto that rock at
we
the
gotta
back of
freeze
the
the
button.
pin or we're giving
If
up
he
score.
makes that really good, it's going
Right,
to be
pin.
fairly tough for Ryan to get rid of it, I think,
Try to get
albeit
a one
this is
and
not
try.
an easy spot to make that shot, especially this early in the
Okay,
game when
what
they're
was I
still
last time?
trying to adjust to how little this spot is
So, like, 3
curling.
feet?
That being said, I think it might be about all he have at this point to try and save the possibility of getting a 2 out of this end.
And clearly that's in Sam's head. How am I still going to be able to score 2?
Well done.
The way things are, 1 is still definitely a possibility if he can put this in a good spot, though even if he does, might see Ryan walk up and put up a guard, and it'll be fairly difficult for him to get his 2 points, and the sweepers have not touched this one yet. Needs to curl.
Better.
Well, he does get it into the right area, but perhaps just a little bit deep, and allowing Ryan Hahn to come down on top of it and
Better than
really
it
close
was.
down that scoring zone.
I just didn't need that extra at the
He's
end.
also thinking, how am I
shot?
going to make sure that I don't give up a deuce, too.
Do you like nose with a hit?
It's always the danger of that experienced team and knowing the capabilities of your opponent, right?
I was thinking
Absolutely. You know, you need to continue to keep that momentum going, although this is a very good team. I'm sure they're
He knows to have the quality.
one of the calmer teams out there, even with a 4-0
Probably.
start to these championships.
We'll see.
Dead nose.
Looks like
That knows I might
Ryan
have
is
a
going to
good
try and come down to this red rock that Sam just
On being
threw.
my shooter.
Looked like he
rolled
was
a little
signaling for
back.
maybe hack weight or maybe back button, and I think
Yeah,
that's
so-
really good. If
so
he can
quick,
tap
don't
that
leave it
red,
short ever.
stay right on the nose, but unlock it so that Sam doesn't have the ability to hit, get rid of his yellow and score his two. I think that's going to be a very good
Bang,
position
bang
for
through the
Ryan.
hole
Yeah, I think
For
Hair High
two?
should be decent.
Maybe? Might be for two.
Might be for two.
And even make it a little hard for Sam to score a
good.
point.
If we ever pulled a two out of this, that'd be ridiculous. You guys just gotta make a draw, man.
Line, they're liking the line halfway down here. May need to move a little bit. There it goes. Sweeper's on it now, trying to hold it. This is really curling.
Yeah, it should be.
Really gonna have to try to avoid that rock. Top four sweepers are on it. Unfortunately,
Kissed
How
it
many
a
does
little
this get
bit, and it looks like we might be able to.
Oh, Ryan.
He's got to try and get on the inside
Are we
yellow,
shot?
the higher yellow, to be able to
No,
get the
sorry.
two.
Okay.
I think if he hits that other yellow first, he's going to push that other red back
I'm only
too
throwing back
far.
line. Like we're only throwing it with heavy draw. Yeah, and if I make it, I just make a straight draw.
Ryan, although
line?
throwing second now, still helps Sam a great deal with his knowledge of the
Make it.
game and
He's gonna
angles
nick it.
and
hit
the
a
strategy of the game. So you can see that he's still calling the line
Quarter
and
up the back line.
helping Sam on his critical
Gets
shots.
us
of
two.
course, Ryan Faya is a fairly accomplished skip himself at the U18 level, and after
Back
moving
line
up
weight.
to the U21 level, does still have
Oh,
that
we're
experience
hitting
in the
the one
ring.
that's
So the team decided that he
And just
can
nicking it with back line.
still help quite a bit with Sam
Going
in the
into
ring,
yellow.
so he is still holding the broom for Sam when he throws. Of course,
not
Matt
curl.
Garner, a very good sweeper
rather hit the
himself.
guys
I
in this
took a
line
couple
give up
looks over
four.
throughout this week. He has great
Just a few
form and
feet
is able
more,
to carry those rocks really far, so I'm sure Sam doesn't mind his sweeping ability on his shots either.
So Sam really
Yeah.
looking to try and
That line's
get
close.
a bit of a piece of the one high on the forefoot, roll over, try and move the other one for two.
Hard, Matty!
Gotta go hard.
This looks really close. It looks like he might have it. And he does. A
Good
nice,
sweep, Matt.
delicate little tap for 2 points there for Team Mooibroek. So they will take a 2-1 lead after two ends here in Draw 5 of the Provincial Championships in Guelph, Ontario. Team Hahn will attempt to come back with the hammer in the third end and hopefully get a deuce back themselves, I'm sure.
Ryan, two?
And again, this is where you see the experience in Mooibroek. No panic, right? Knew there was rocks in behind the tee line that he could take advantage of, and got that just that little bit of a half shot from Team Hahn, and took it for two. As we said, Spencer Dunlop is from
Line's
Brampton,
good.
Ontario, and calls Western University home right now. Enjoys volleyball and camping as his outside interests. He is a 2016 Bantam Provincial Champion, the former
Nice shot on my
U18.
last one there, Matt. That's why I didn't want more ice. I have you. Why would I take more ice when I slide 2 inches tight and I'm light? I think the ice and the weight were good. I just didn't hit it.
I'm gonna be honest, when I put the broom down, I thought I put it down in the wrong spot with how little ice it looked like.
Yeah, you put it down like an inch tight.
Like it looked really tight.
Oh, if we were wide, we picked our own. I didn't want to pick our own. And it wasn't curling there. And
No.
have you seen
More
Matt?
rotation.
That thing didn't move until the hog line.
Oh. Whoa.
So Ryan Hahn is asking Ryan Godfrey to come around the top. And again, a little up and a little deep.
Time to wait.
Yeah, we're going to have to see
What
the
do you
both
like?
teams trying to make that adjustment there.
Okay.
On that side of the sheet, again, it's going to continue to just get even straighter as the game progresses. So really going to have to see if they over-adjust to what they think they're going to need. Would love to see probably a couple of over-curls here in the next couple ends so that they can start figuring out exactly where that broom needs to come down and the tolerance of when they're throwing.
Go ahead, Matt. That's fine. Don't kill yourself. Don't kill yourself. Let's go, buddy. Good, Spence. Good throw.
And again, we'll see the adjustment on the broom. But you being a skip yourself, would you be talking about that with your team, potentially adjusting release a little bit to promote the curl?
I think you just have to be careful to really have that conversation to decide where the adjustment is going to come. We see a lot, especially from maybe the less experienced teams here at this championship, we see a lot of overcorrecting, and by that I mean if you miss a little bit wide, let's say you slid a little bit wide on your hit, on the next shot you might try to slide a little bit tighter, but the skip might have also tightened up the broom a little bit on you, and then you end up missing tight. And just if you don't have those little bits of communication to decide how you're going to adjust, that's when you really start to find troubles, especially with those less experienced teams. What you really need to do is just decide as a team, either the thrower needs to say, no, give me the same ice, I'm going to try and throw it a little bit better at you, or the skip needs to say, no, I love the way you're throwing it, I'm just going to try and adjust the broom a little bit so that you're not overcompensating in those ways.
Good throw, right?
And again here, good weight from Ryan Fayaz and allowing for the sweepers, that sweeping power of Team Mooibroek's front end to both carve it in and hold it once they got the line to where they wanted. Half buried here now that Eric just has to pick out. I think if Ryan can get Eric to just hit that half, you can see and maybe roll over to the side, take away that play from that center guard. See if Sam will push the issue with that center guard still in play.
Looks like they're going to get it by the guard. Not going to get too much of a roll there, so pretty much going to leave the same shot for Team Mooibroek here. I would expect them to be just as close as they were. If not, they're going to try and make that little bit of an adjustment just to try and get dead buried on their roll.
Similar shot for Ryan Fayez as the last one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Again, a little bit earlier now.
Close. Easy up. Yeah. Whoa, Matt. Hard.
There you go. Again,
Just tricky.
love that
like
call from Sam between
Matt
like
and
and Spencer, knowing each one of what their capabilities are. And trying to get that rock hit in the right place for the roll.
Landon, we all lost.
And there's where that team experience comes in.
You only get so much out of them.
And that's really, I think, an example of a very experienced team out there. You know, they're not okay with maybe just making sure that their shooter sticks around, really doing everything they can on every foot of as the rock goes down the ice in order to try and get the best possible outcome that they can. You know, it's been such an exciting day here at the Guelph Curling Club Prairie. As I look over so many storylines to watch, we mentioned Ladouceur and Team Sutherland playing on Sheet 1, each fighting for the lead on the leaderboard in these championships. As I look at Sheet 2, we have same situation here, undefeated Team McNamara playing Team Bissonnette with a 1-3 record, trying to stay alive. Look on Sheet 3, Team Warner, who started this championship 2-0, trying to stop the bleeding after 2 losses this day, playing Team Steel, who of course are trying to build on their first win of the championship last draw. It's going to be a really exciting draw to watch here at the Guelph Curling Club, and we encourage anyone in the local area to come out and watch. It's going to be tough to keep our eyes on this game here, I think.
You're busy? Can you help me untangle?
I do love how the stories develop as the event goes on, right?
Get this somewhere where I cannot kill myself.
Absolutely. So a great draw there by Matt Gardner. Team or Ryan Hahn having nothing of it, not wanting to risk anything this end, just asking for Jake Goves to peel off this top guard and hopefully keep the blank alive.
I just don't want to catch it with a broom or anything. Yep. Choke myself to death. Yep.
Bring that curls up a little bit more. But he will peel away. So again, Sam Mooibroek's going
to put, like 2.5 spence.
Put it back up in the right spot.
It's good.
We see there just what we mean about this spot straightening out. Sam Mooibroek with his broom just about edge of the 4-foot. Of course, on our draw for hammer pre-game, Brian Hahn was taking about edge of the 8-foot on that draw for hammer to the button, and so you can see just how much that spot continues to straighten out as they work the ice in throughout the game.
And again, Sam's knowledge of each one of the players' abilities, that left-hander's angle at it as opposed to the right-hander's angle. So again, taking maybe a little bit less ice. Great position for that guard.
Guard forever and throw my last one top 12? Sorry? Guard forever, throw the last one top 12? Yes. I like that. I'm okay with him.
Yeah, so I think we're going to see pretty much more the same here by both teams. Ryan Hahn's going to continue to try and peel and hope for some kind of a half miss out of Team Mooibroek on these guards. Team Mooibroek, I think they're going to just continue to guard this rock top 4, maybe try to just bite top 12 with their last one to sit to, and try to put the pressure on Ryan Hahn to have to draw the side of the pin in order to score his one here in this end.
Again, here we see Sam Mooibroek putting his broom out just a little bit more than what he had for Matt.
Absolutely, and I think that might have something to do, if you pay attention to how Sam throws his stones. When he's sliding out, his handle is more of a 12 o'clock position, whereas the rest of his team a little bit more cocked back to maybe a 10 or a 2 o'clock position. And, you know, that's really, there's nothing wrong with it, of course. It just creates a slightly different motion on the release, and you just need to be aware of it when you're putting the broom down, of just how much your rock is going to curl in comparison to the rest of your team.
Again, probably one of the hardest shots in curling is the perfect guard.
Absolutely, and especially hard when you need to make it over and over. The sweepers didn't really touch this one, but maybe just over curling a little bit, leaving about 2/3 of that shot stone exposed. So Ryan Hahn's going to have the opportunity to maybe make his life a little bit easier on his last shot. Looks like he's going to try and just hit and roll side 8 and sit his 1. Sam will be forced to hit it, and then Ryan will have an open shot, draw to the 4-foot to score his 1 point this end.
Oh no, that's why I softened it.
Again, 2 points being difficult with the position of the rocks right now.
I'm okay with it.
He's just trying to see if he can find a way to keep it to 1, get the opportunity for 1, or maybe even still put a blank up there.
Oh no. I kicked out hard. I just really softened the release that came out too hard.
It didn't turn out bad.
Oh, is that
Fighting a piece is pretty good. Still, force is always in play.
Oh, if it's a gimme force. Yeah. You can't really get under, can he?
No, I think he's trying to roll away.
Oh, perfect.
I don't think it's possible to get under. Unless you freeze to it.
So Ryan Hahn calls Canada, Ontario his hometown, just outside of Ottawa. Currently attending, another curler here, attending Carleton University. There's plenty of them here. They must have a really good curling program up there. Something's drawing all the curlers.
Poor Tom Sinclair's got to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like control.
He also claims to be an avid tennis fan and enjoys reading and Netflix binging in his time off. Maybe not quite getting as much roll as they would have liked there. This rock ending up a little bit higher than they would have liked because it's more of top 4. Going to allow Sam the opportunity to hit and roll to the side of the button on the tee line and really put the pressure on Ryan to draw the pin for his 1 point.
And we saw this earlier then with Ryan Fies' shots, just that use of those 2 sweepers. Having Ryan back in the house calling Sam's rocks.
Absolutely, and you see that broom coming down very tight. And that all has to do with the confidence of his sweepers to hold that rock dead straight if he needs them to.
Again, I think they were happy with the weight.
Go ahead.
I'm going to ask Matt to
All right,
carve
buddy.
it a bit.
Matt!
Yep. Take it a little bit more. Take it more. Nope. And just doesn't quite get the finish.
So it's going to be an open hit here for Team Hahn to score their 1 point here in the third end to try to tie this game up.
Just
Also keep an eye out. This is that
Just
tricky
took ice.
spot that we've
Scare
seen a
roll now.
little bit and we see already a couple inches more ice than Sam might have took on his. So perhaps they're just expecting a little bit more curl the way Ryan throws his stones as compared to Sam.
Backline doubles for 2.
But certainly the outcome that Sam Mooibroek was looking for, a force in
guys stepped up
the
this end.
odd end after he got his deuce in the last.
Never wide, it's not coming back. He's not wide.
And Hahn with his last on the way here in the third end. They're
Fine if not.
calling that one a bit on the out.
Looks like it's going to curl up nice though.
There we go. Ryan's just giving the clinch fist and saying, good shot.
All right, so if your
That's
Team
what curling.
Mooibroek, a successful flip of the hammer,
Easier shot for
of course a
55.
tie game now
Like,
here after
make
3
the
ends,
alert
just like we started the game with, but instead of Ryan Hahn with the hammer, now Sam Mooibroek holds the hammer. So I think those 3 ends are definitely a check mark if you're Team Mooibroek.
Yep. I think from Sam's perspective, a bit
Like the
textbook.
first game last week, and
Didn't win the hammer. Forced Ryan to 1. Got his 2. Forced Ryan to run one
I'm
again.
okay with it. We know it. Let's just throw smarter and make shots. Pop a deuce here, we're in great shape.
And you hear their little team meeting. We're talking about, yes, we are right on plan.
Exactly, so all they want to do now is just be able to convert one more time and pop a deuce here in the fourth end to really maybe take control of this first half of the game.
Look up. Look up. Whoa, 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 whoa. Great shot, Ryan. Oh, look at us go.
Again,
So
the compliments to Ryan. Good key from Ryan Hahn about
Okay,
this his
I
first
look
shot,
for
putting him
Ryan.
on the top of the forefoot. And that's always what I remember about Ryan, and we've heard him on the mic a number of times where,
Line's nice.
you know, very supportive of his teammates. That's what you need
Line's
from the
nice.
skip.
Line's still nice.
Absolutely, you need that support, and
Very
of
good,
course
buddy.
nobody ever wants to miss a shot, but we're not all perfect, it happens, and so you need that support, but you also need that ability to have those kinds of discussions as to why those misses occurred so that you can adjust well in order to make it next time around.
two.
So Ryan Godfrey being asked to throw up the guard here on this shot top 4. Line looks pretty good, and the sweepers
Line is
liking the
good.
weight, so looks like it's going to end up in a pretty good spot here for Team Hahn.
Yeah. You're good. You're good. A little. Real good.
Of course, we talked a couple times about really making sure you have that game plan as a team, knowing exactly where you want to throw those first 3 or 4 rocks at the end, no matter what your opponent does. And it looks like everyone pretty much sticking to their game plan. Sam not wasting any time calling the freeze here.
Line's good.
Of course, that saves on the time clock as well and avoids any kind of time troubles later on in the
Line's
game.
good.
Yeah, we're sitting with
Line's good.
fantastic time already on these
boys.
two teams and 3 ends into the game.
All right, guys. Kind of soft picked up at the hog line.
Spencer comes up just a little bit light.
It picked by the hog line.
Nope.
You
I
can
think
see
that
a
maybe
little
that
gripper
rock
mark
picked a
there.
little bit. And again, we're seeing here that frost spot on that side of the sheet
Good throw, Spence.
early in the game
Good grab.
does catch the rock.
Yeah, Sam's suggesting that might have grabbed a little bit on a flat spot at the hog line, although sweepers definitely weren't in love with the weight going most of the way, so possibly a little bit light as well.
One.
So trying to throw another center guard here, of course.
Hard.
Keeping an eye on Team Mooibroek. Their up weight ability is spectacular, so
Whoa.
Ryan not wanting to risk too much, maybe taking the opportunity
just
to
leave it
throw
there.
an extra guard here to try and avoid that upweight ability of Team Mooibroek to escape trouble.
Sit half, you probably get everything.
Ooh la la.
And Sam won't fool around with this.
Two-thirds,
He's going to ask Ryan Fayez to attempt the double peel on the yellow rocks.
Too.
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. Yeah.
Yep, likes where this one's
Yeah.
going to hit.
That boy.
And moves
Very
a bunch
good,
of
Ryan.
granite.
Pretty good result there by Ryan. Not rolling that rock out of the rings, but I think it's still mission accomplished if you ask
Tough
Sam.
looking here.
Gets it off the forefoot, so a little
You're
bit more
perfect.
wiggle room to work with if you're Team Mooibroek later on in this end.
What rock
And
was
only
that?
leaves one out in the middle. So again,
Yeah,
good
I
shot.
don't think the 8's very good.
And it's their color too, so even if Ryan makes this draw really well, always the option of throwing the Ren back later.
Matt throws
Gotta
that
be
one, though.
in. Yes.
Sweepers on this one early might be a little bit light.
Yes.
Definitely working
Well
hard on this
switched.
one to try and get it there. With that extra sweeping though, hanging out a
Yes.
little bit. Definitely need this to curl.
Where, Ryan? Oh, there's good. It's good.
They'll get it to a half decent spot, I think, although
What do you
we'll
like?
allow Team Mooibroek to make this hit and roll.
Love knows if we can make it. It's just hard. Okay. What do you like, board? Board's good.
yeah, not quite as deep as he wanted, but again,
Go
usable
over
rock
here.
and forces Team Mooibroek to play it.
Absolutely, and those are the things we like to keep track of. Even when you're not making your shots perfectly, always ensuring that you're doing those little
Yeah.
things, keeping it higher in the ring so that it's usable later, keeping your
Go.
shooter around. Those are really the things that lead to
Spencer.
lots of wins for plenty teams, but also
Matt.
really separates
Yeah.
maybe the top teams at
Whoa.
this championship from everyone
I think
else.
we're going close to that one. Make sure that goes. If it sits, it's good. That's a pretty good shot.
So they really liked the shot. The weight was chosen again. A little bit of aggressive sweep from Matt Garner on the early, pushed that out a bit. Then they had to try and put it back into the right spot. Perhaps just a little overswept.
Absolutely, a little bit of an overroll, although not the worst that I've ever seen. Does hang on to the side of the rings, so it's always an issue if you're Ryan Hahn. Keeping that red rock sort of in the corner of your eye, you always have to be careful.
Yeah, whoa.
Leaving this red rock there and deciding to play this draw, you are risking a 2.
Yeah. Whoa.
So you really want to make sure that you get this rock into maybe a little bit of a
Whoa,
better
even-
spot than your
even,
last
whoa.
one.
It's good.
And pretty good shot from Jake
You're right
Rose,
here, they know
who
that
lives
we
in
can make the
Burlington
double. Now
and
it's
is
in
still a
play.
high school student at M.M. Robinson High School in
Roll
the
it in
Burlington
for.
area. His outside interest
Hack.
is ice caps.
I like solid hack.
I'm sure he and Tim Hortons get along real well.
Sure, I'll end up having to grab one for one of these morning draws this week.
Well, I'm not a coffee drinker myself, but we do see that ice cap phenomenon out there.
Yeah. All right.
Of
Gotta
course,
go,
we're going to
buddy.
start to sound like maybe a bit of a
Hold
broken
on.
record. Little bit of an
Gotta
undercurl
go,
again
buddy.
by Team Hahn in that spot. Leaves
Easy.
Team Mooibroek the
Yeah.
ability to play a little bit of a hit
Yeah.
and roll here
Exit
to
four,
a good
Spencer,
spot.
exit four. That's a good shot. Good sweeping, right?
I think that
He was
pretty
not
much
wide.
does the job. Trying to group those yellow stones as much as you can so you have the opportunity to maybe play a double on them later.
Again, I hope our viewing audience really starts to pay attention to the communication with Sam and his sweepers, what he gets out of Matt and Spencer. It's really impressive.
Absolutely. Definitely one of the better pairs of sweepers
Hey,
here
Jake.
on the junior level in Ontario, and the way that he's able to switch back and forth between them so easily to get everything that they can out of every single shot. I think that's what's led to their undefeated record so far here at these championships.
Fun.
It's not bad.
Like nice peel. Don't whip it. Yeah, soft peel.
So again, this roll allows the opportunity for Sam to work on both those rocks and sit two.
Like Matt, you can even make it off that one.
Yeah, I don't think he can. That's
We haven't seen it yet this game, but again, the power in Matt Garner's game can be quite impressive too.
Absolutely, and I'm sure we'll have the pleasure of maybe seeing a 5-second peel here from Matt Garner at some point, which I know he does have the ability to do.
Oh, look at this shot. What a wonderful shot that is. And again, what a wonderful shot that was. The double and the roll.
You got the weight right. Ryan peel. Nice shot, buddy. Very good. Very nice pair. I set it up pretty good to like hit and roll, and then we'll have the double.
9.
I didn't expect to spin dead buried, but.
Yeah. Sam says just like I called it.
What do you guys like?
Might leave us a double.
Interesting thing I noticed here on this shot, Ryan did not indicate to Jake where he wanted the broom. Before Team Mooibroek had even left the rings, Jake already had his broom down right on the nose of the stone. Perhaps they discussed it on the backboard before the shot was done, but
he knows that we knows it.
more often than not, you usually like to see the skip sort of put their own broom down. You really want them to have the confidence of knowing exactly what the ice is going to do, and allowing them to do those small things like deciding where they want the broom can really increase their own confidence later on in the game. As we see Ryan roll out there, an unfortunate miss. He would have liked to roll into the 8-foot to maybe make Sam think about having to hit it, but now Sam with the opportunity to freely draw around this guard and possibly set up a 3-ender for himself.
Yeah.
Given what we've seen in that line being a bit straight, what do you think about actually going around the corner guard instead?
I thought about that actually, not necessarily even because of just how straight this is, but I worry a little bit about grouping your stones here. Of course, with a tight red guard like that, whenever you're grouping your stones, if you're not quite right on the nose, always the opportunity for Ryan to come up with maybe a run double to clear the rings and force Sam into a blank of this end. So I thought maybe that spreading out your rocks might be a little bit safer. I thought he might even draw to the open side just to ensure that he gets his 2 here, but Sam deciding that he wants to risk a little bit more to try and go for his 3 points here. This looks pretty good.
Wonderful shot. And a great shot by Sam Mooibroek. So his confidence is really high. Knew exactly how he wanted to approach that.
Absolutely right where they would have liked to place that stone. But as I mentioned, not quite on the nose of that stone. I think there is a run double available for Ryan if he wanted to take it on.
I think it's just colder.
I don't really know what else I see, honestly. No real good way to freeze one on there to try and limit.
If we're playing it, then we should
freeze, Sam will still have an opportunity for 3.
Absolutely. Even if you make the perfect freeze, he'll just take a little bit more ice and draw the side of the 4-foot. So I think this is his only shot anyways. Looks like the triple is there to clear all these reds out of the rings, albeit going to have to see a little bit more weight coming here from Ryan Hahn.
I feel like I'm sliding slower than what you're getting.
So again, putting rocks in the right place and getting even the 3/4 shots from Ryan Hahn, those hits and rolls and back towards his other rock, created this opportunity for Sam Mooibroek to maybe turn this into a 3. Let's just see. Maybe Ryan's got a great shot here in his pocket.
Yep. I would run that. Whoa.
Eric just on this the whole way, trying to hold this rock. Fortunately over curls, and it will be an open draw here for Sam Mooibroek to go for his 3 points. So guess that risk paid off for him here in the 4th end of this draw. Of course, he just threw it as well, so I expect him to be pretty close on this.
I'll just give it to you guys.
What you love is those open draws with backing on a path
Absolutely.
you just threw.
Exactly. It's pretty tough to miss these ones, honestly, especially with the sweeping power of Spencer Dunlop and Matt Garner.
Sam Mooibroek with his final shot in N4, looking for any part of the house for 3 points. Sweepers have backed right off, and they seem to be quite happy with the way this rock is running.
You're on the red.
And so it's 3 points for Sam Mooibroek here in draw 5 action at the provincial championships. Takes a 5-2 lead over Ryan Hahn into the 5th end.
How's it going, Bradley? Oh, you're red? That's good. That's new.
And a team that hits as well as Sam Mooibroek,
playing
you don't want to
textbook
fall too
curling.
far behind to give them that lead.
Absolutely. We talked about the hitting ability
that was
of
good
this
too, guys. Skill
team,
too.
or the upweight ability of this team, plus the ability to hold those rocks dead straight with the sweeping power that we talked about. Going to be very tough to fight back here for Team Ryan Hahn. That being said, they're skilled curlers themselves, and I'm sure we'll still see a few rocks in play here and possibly some opportunities moving forward. And I think if you're Team Hahn, you take the fact that you really haven't played that poorly. Like, only a couple misses here and there have allowed Sam opportunities that maybe wouldn't have been there if you just make a couple more of those half shots, making sure that, like that last end, if Ryan makes sure that he sticks around on his first one and makes that hit and roll to the 8 foot, possibly Sam doesn't take on the risk of drawing around that tight center guard, and might allow them to escape with maybe only giving up a 2. But rolling out allowed Sam that free draw to bring the 3 into play, and of course the missed run back on Ryan's second allowed him the free draw for 3.
You know, and what you're saying is absolutely true for Team Ryan Hahn. We've got a pretty good game statistically. My charting has it at 78% for Team Mooibroek and 75% for Team Hahn. So it's not a matter of playing poorly. It's just a matter of Sam Mooibroek taking those opportunities that have been given and turning them into multiple point scores.
Absolutely, and when we look at the other end where Team Mooibroek took a multiple score in the second, that was looking very good for Team Hahn the entire time, and Ryan with a very good opportunity with his last rock in that end to really ensure a force of 1 just over curls and touches one stone a little bit and just rolls a hair too far and leaves Sam a great shot that he made, credit where credit's due, for 2 points that end. But if Ryan makes that shot as well, it's a force in 2, and maybe we're talking about a little bit of a different ball game here.
You thought for a second that Ryan may have been satisfied with trying to carry over the hammer to the 6th end, but he's going to actually put up a corner guard now. Sweepers are not touching this rock at all. Wouldn't be ideal if it comes in.
So
if Jake falls on
both guards by Ryan Godfrey just slipping into the rings here. It's going to be hard to generate some offense and generate some rocks in play when that happens.
Yeah, you don't control well.
We kind of got them with their filling point.
Easy! Clean! Clean up!
Ryan Faya is just trying to hit and stick here and sit 2.
Right on, Maddie!
Can continue to put the pressure on Ryan Hahn to make big shots.
Make sure, Spence. That's a good shot. Kind of soft grab or just light?
And really good shot there. You know, that's really the difference maker between maybe Team Mooibroek and what we've seen from the rest of the field so far. Not only making the hit, but also making that slight roll into the center line. I'm sure most teams here would be happy just to make that nose hit, Of course, with it being so high in the rings, though, may leave Team Ryan Hahn the opportunity to play around it later. By making that little bit of a roll towards the center line, that rock is now a little bit deeper, and it's going to be very tough for Ryan Hahn to make a play around that rock to generate anything later in the end. And those are the small things that I think are attributing to why Team Mooibroek is having such a great week so far.
Okay, Eric.
He's looking for a hit and roll the other way or a hit and stick, and
Probably
again,
a
got a
three.
little bit out, a little bit up. That rock is running straight.
Right, you like the out?
And sensing the opportunity, Sam Mooibroek will ask Ryan Fires to put a guard on that rock. That's on the apron.
Easy! Spencer!
Of course, comes with it a little bit of risk with a lead
Mine's
without the
okay.
hammer guarding a rock
Mine's
that's
good.
not
That's it.
really that
Match
close
back
to
in.
the center line,
Make
more
sure
on the
you're
side
free,
four,
guys.
but I don't hate the call
Curl.
either. Deciding to really
Curl.
put the pressure on
Curl.
Ryan
Stop.
Hahn to prove
Good.
that he can convert that little bit of a risk into a multiple score, and a great result there by Ryan Fayez is going to result in Team Hahn having to make a few good shots to get something set up here.
5.
You know, I'm sure Sam and team of this club a number of times playing, but he has a really good sense of the ice. Oh, and we're going to have a timeout here from Coach Byron Scott for Team Hahn.
So we're going to get our first look at Coach Byron Scott wanting to have a discussion about this shot. What do you think the talking point might be here, Perry?
And I think he's looking at this situation and saying to
How you guys
Ryan, is
doing,
this
Nate?
really the place and the
Are you having
opportunity
fun
for
at
you
least?
to go after the two? Maybe open that rock up, get rid of that guard, make him put it
I
back,
think that was always
make
the
him
call.
make
No
it
point
make
splitting
another good
out.
one again. And if he doesn't make it good again, then maybe you can play with it.
Absolutely. A blank here, not the end of the world if you're Team Ryan Hahn. Taking the hammer to the even ends, as we've discussed that level of importance already multiple times this week. But let's see if we can listen into this timeout and see what the discussion might be between Ryan and his coach.
And not an insurmountable lead at 5-2. And we did talk about the hitting ability, but you know you gotta also have to manage the ends, the back end of the game well. So don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to be forced to take one in the fifth end and give Sam that opportunity to control the back half of the
Who's a
game
competitor party?
Absolutely.
with a lead.
It's that
Absolutely. I think it would be worst case scenario if you do get forced here, but let's listen to what Coach Byron has to say.
stretch. They're gonna have a hard time getting two for shot buried. Yeah, I think the guard's always the right call there.
Yeah, so Peel.
Thank you. Matt's is pretty good. Ryan hasn't fallen yet.
I get 50%.
Hey, I set that up because like roll here, they know, so we make the double.
Relatively short and sweet message from Coach Scott to his team.
Good plan. You guys are keep going.
What's up, Jakey? I don't know. I just didn't want to run you over.
And as I suspected,
We just guard.
there was the discussion. Are you really sure you want to play?
Fairly quick discussion too. Probably went out there and said, well, let's play the peel.
Just guard forever and take our
So the coaches will make their way back to the warm side of the glass, the better side of the glass, if you ask me.
Think
Been
yours a curl a
fairly
little more?
beautiful
Probably
weather
not
here
your
this week, and nice and warm here on this side. So a great environment to come and watch some curling.
Don't get too comfortable back here. You're still a player.
I guess I do enjoy it out there a little bit still.
You do. And for me as a coach, I spend more hours out there on that side.
Absolutely, that's true as well. With your experience over in China, spending quite a bit of time out there on the ice as the national team coach over there.
It's not uncommon for us to do 6 to 8 hours a day on the ice over 3 different sessions.
Line's
of the day.
good.
So pretty much a full-time job for you. Well, it is your full-time
Ryan,
job
stay
pretty
down.
much
Job
over
now.
there. I'm sure that's what they're paying you
Stay
for
down.
too.
And if you can think that 8 hours
gotta
on the
stay
ice
down.
has just like a teacher has a whole bunch of hours of preparation too.
Absolutely.
Clean
So
zone stuff. Good
Team
shot, buddy.
Mooibroek just going
Very
to
good.
try and replace this guard, although maybe over curling slightly. Maybe
Next
this
is
is the
him.
opportunity
Yeah, it didn't
stroke
look
of
like it was
genius
running
here
nicely. It
by
looked like he was
team
kind of shaking it.
or by Coach Byron Scott, waiting for the opportunity of the half-missed guard. Now Ryan will have the opportunity to hit this rock and maybe get out of this end with the blank.
Be careful to give Brian too much credit.
He's only sitting a couple feet to my left, so I got to pump up his tires a little bit.
Might have been Stu who touched him on the shoulder for that.
Yeah!
Oh, they didn't like this one out of the hand.
Yes, for the
Definitely
guard!
tight very early. The sweepers
Yes, for the guard!
look to be trying to go even just to make the peel here.
the
This
guard,
is
babe,
curling
roll it,
very
babe.
hard. Does chunk that guard
Jake.
pretty solid and only rolls to the center line.
What do you
A
like?
bit of a miscue there from Jake Goves.
Yeah, maybe decision time here for Team
Maybe just
Mooibroek. What do
peel
you
and go to
think?
the
I
next
think there's
end.
two options here. You have the opportunity to maybe draw around that yellow guard, or you could just continue to guard that
Me
red
either.
stone. I mean, I think it's in a pretty good spot
What
if
do
you're
you
Team
like? Like
Mooibroek.
here?
Yeah, I think he likes.
Like
to
this
play
is really
in the
good as long
house.
as he never makes the perfect
I'm a little
roll.
worried about that hit and roll in behind if he does it. But I do like the idea of either removing, which he's moving towards, or putting that guard back up.
Absolutely. The only risk involved with playing around this guard would be with that red rock in such a great spot. Really, if you don't want to leave a double, you have to go top 8, top 12, and then Ryan will just attempt to use that as another guard after he makes the hit
You're
and roll.
still
So
on
I
center,
think
you're good. I got the
very
yellow.
experienced call here by Sam
Good,
Mooibroek,
Matt.
just deciding not to play with too much risk, allowing
Yeah,
Ryan the
like,
opportunity
draw's
to blank
perfect
this
as
end
long
and
as he
take the
never
hammer to
makes the roll.
6, but I
Makes
think
the roll, then
Sam's
we're in
okay with
trouble.
that. He knows his ability to defend a lead, and I think
Oh, I'm
he
happy
believes
running
that it's
the
still
end.
going to
They're
take
not
a little
gonna
bit
go
of
aggressive.
work by Team
I don't
Hahn
see
in
them
order to
getting
get
a big end.
themselves back into a position of control in this game.
Yeah, like, I think they're one of those teams that's like you can only score in the evens, and like you score whenever you can, right? Like you gotta hit this.
Again, there's another one of these things. You turn that rock in early, it's going to take off, and this is when they're trying to hold.
Really hard!
It's like he might still get a small piece of it, and he does.
Does he get it out?
Okay, Jake.
No, so
good
advantage
here?
Sam Mooibroek. He can take the opportunity perhaps to split the house and force Ryan Hahn to one.
He's hitting, I think, whatever he hit. He might freeze to it.
I don't mind being above the tee line just so we can't freeze. Like, what if I throw it here? It just limits them. I think
Just
above the
two
tee though.
unfortunate misses
I'd rather
there
leave him
by
the double
Jake
and the
Goves.
freeze.
I think I'm a little bit
Because if
tight
we're
on
here, he
both.
has
So
to
possibly
freeze.
might have a
Makes it
little
good
bit
as two.
of a
Here it's a
discussion
blank.
with Ryan
He makes
Hahn
it
at
go,
the other
right?
end to maybe try and
that's-
figure out what he's seeing from
like
him,
that's
whether
not
it's just the
weight double.
release or whether he's
That's
not quite
pretty
getting
flat.
out to the broom there. Doesn't really look like he's that far off. So maybe just starting those rocks a little bit on his
I think we
release.
want to be above the tee. Just I'd rather him play
You
the
can
double.
see
than
that a little
freeze.
bit. The trail foot
I think we're
comes
back
in
tee, he has to
behind him
freeze,
when he's
right?
reaching out with
2
his
inches above it.
wrist out, so you can see that wrist
Like,
kind
try
of
not to
cocks
touch
back.
it. Just, I'd rather him
Absolutely,
play the
and we, of course, we talked about with how straight that spot is where he
If I throw
had
the
that
first
hit
straw?
on his second shot. You can get away a little bit with just
Do it for
a
top
really
four.
good release, but sliding a hair full. But with that, when you get it started, you sort of find that curl, and it can really
I don't
get
think you're
into your
heavy.
mind a little bit because you've seen it run so straight all game, and then all of a sudden you find a way to make it curl a little bit. So I think it's just a little bit of an adjustment by Goves when he's throwing the next time. I'm sure Ryan will let him know what he's seeing at the other end so that
Top
they can
tee,
make the
guys,
correct
top tee.
change there moving forward
Keep
into
it
the
in
back
top
half of this
12,
game.
please. That's fine.
And again, Sam just splitting the house.
I like 9 trying to roll. Like it's
A
a
long
long.
hit and roll for
Slower
Ryan.
inside
trying
out,
to
right? Just
take
curl
advantage
more.
of that
That's-
rock
he makes
over
it
on
cross
the
out
other
to one.
side.
I think we'll know more what it's doing this way. So
I think it'll run real straight.
okay.
That's fine with me. Not even
Okay,
play the
I
double.
like it.
Yeah, I would expect it.
No. Yeah, you got normal.
9,
You can make the roll on top. It's probably
9. Trying
What's
to roll
wrong?
far.
Okay, I guess it's a blank then. We make the dead
Yeah,
perfect
it
roll.
should.
makes it perfect. Yeah. It's very hard to be perfect on this.
See if this curls.
Yeah, it's not taking much ice. Rather than saying 995, like normally, I guess.
So Ryan Hahn maybe
Say
trying to
heroes
make a little bit of
fighting the
something out
center
of
line.
not much here. Going to attempt to throw a pretty high weight shot here and maybe just try and hit and roll towards
I don't think he's
the
gonna
rock
roll
on the other side of the rings. Maybe try and group them, and then he might have the opportunity for a double and a blank later or on his last shot.
Nope. It's rolling. Roll!
He's going to get some roll. Will he get enough? This looks like a really good shot.
Very
try.
good. I think that's pretty much about as good as you can do. Excellent shot there by
Here, I don't see a blank.
Ryan Hahn.
Yeah.
Maybe
Like, he
giving
rolled a nice
himself the
ball,
opportunity to still escape this end with a blank, depending
Absolutely.
on where
I'm just
Mooibroek
scared to
rolls
baby
with
it
this
and have
last
it
rock.
touch and not go.
I like normal.
Normal roll to here.
Puts the pressure back on Sam. He had one of these finesse weight hits.
If we roll like a foot, it's a pretty
Throws it up too
jammable
much, it'll straighten
double,
up.
right?
Throws
Like
it
it's
too light, it'll
hard to have
curl.
him go through.
But he does have that
So it's
sweeping
probably
power
going to be a
up front.
force. Like you want to roll. You see where that red rock is in the
A
backboard
great shot
there?
from Ryan Hahn to be
That's
able
where
to
you're kind of trying
create
to
the
roll through.
opportunity in the first place.
And
The
we
one that's
already
farthest-
have
the one that's closest to
handshakes
Ryan.
in one of our games over on sheet
roll
1.
foot.
Team Sutherland with the 8-0 win over Team Ladysur. Remember, we talked about how both of those teams had a 3-1 record. Now Team Sutherland,
Get going,
lone
Matt.
leader here at these provincial championships with a 4-1 record, and Team Ladysur dropping down to 3-2.
Well, I think maybe we're seeing just a little bit of that energy get out of the Team Ladysur team, who's been having to curl with 3 people for most of the day today due to an illness with Brooklyn Fall.
Do that awful.
Absolutely, a little bit of an update on that illness because we were
I
worried
feel
we
like
might
I've
be
never
seeing
curled
the
before.
flu again in this building
I
that
will,
we
and I
saw
was
last
tired.
weekend.
Didn't want to curl.
Sounded like it was just sort
It's
of a
a
viral
tricky
infection,
shot,
nothing
actually.
they can
This
do
is
in
hard.
terms
Like
of
this.
medication, and it's not contagious. So, sure, that's a bit of a sigh of relief to the,
Everybody here.
yeah, especially to the coordinators of the event, that it won't be sweeping its way through. But of course, we will wish Brooklyn all the best as she tries to get better, and hopefully we'll see her back tomorrow. But we talked a little bit about fatigue. 3 10-end games here today, and sure, it's not any better when you only have one sweeper all the time.
Curling.
Trying to get hit and roll out.
Making the blank.
Will we be able to get that?
For that one.
And he does.
Maybe getting a little bit of a lucky touch on that first red rock. Looked like he was just going to nose it and get his one, but does escape with the blank. So Team Mooibroek will carry the 5-2 lead. Going into the back half of this game, Team Hahn will retain the hammer. And that concludes play here in the first half of Draw 5 action here at the 2020 Curl On Under 21 Men's and Women's Provincial Championship. We'll listen in to their 5-minute fifth end break, and we'll be back when the action continues.
Me too. Little Rock curling it is.
That works. Tight.
See, that's where you apologize, not start joking around. Like, you
Happy
dumped it.
It wasn't a 9.
You
'cause
got
it was
lucky.
definitely heavy.
Corey's bribing the commentators to say nice things about us.
What?
Corey's bribing the commentators to say nice things about us. Water.
Yeah. That was bullshit. That was bullshit.
Just like it's in that bottle.
No, they don't listen to the fifth end break.
My next 10.
They don't have the headphones on. Just turn it off. Okay, we're good.
Don't forget to unmute it after the break.
If I don't, who cares?
Well, I think we got them on the delayed corner.
I'm okay
Yeah,
with that.
double and spin under. That's easy. It was called, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I don't know.
So I should have hit that
No.
time of the time.
No, they're not gonna take a risk. They're gonna keep hitting.
As long as we make our shots, we're not scoring too.
What the hell were they peeling that cart?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
That was a really good hit roll.
Don't take notes. Good. You won't learn much. Yeah, he hasn't hit the broom yet, so we give him some precise shots, we get some breaks.
Yeah, we can throw a couple of those intern hits maybe.
We keep giving those inside outers, they're not gonna make a single one.
Yeah, he's sliding really in
Right.
there. He really set the
Oh.
house, which is the only reason he even hit one of the rocks.
Well, Jake hooked a foot. Right, so we're making them. Yeah.
He hit a quarter of it and it still went like, it still got it.
Yeah, I got the.
I thought he was going over. Oh yeah, like I think all of us thought that. I think he thought that.
Yeah. What are you gonna do? Let's keep making.
The force, the blank, the same thing.
Yeah.
How do they have a full minute more than us?
We're not fast.
I didn't think they were that fast.
We'll get this end. Two more items.
2 more heads. Then we're done.
Fourth, we only play seven.
You have to play
6.
eight.
I haven't even looked at rally yet.
6.
Okay, that's a lot.
We're not gonna play 6. We're only up by 3. Unless we steal like a 3 ball, but
Yeah, unless something bad, really bad happens.
no, really good.
Oh dear. I always saw that.
Did you win?
4 on 3.
Those are the
8-0.
1 and 2 teams.
What was that?
The douche.
Who won that?
Not.
Who won?
Not the douche.
I went well for them.
Yeah.
Outside of so,
It's a shit show.
everyone just wins against like the loser. The worst team beats like the best team.
Can you get an 8? Can you have
Yeah, the girls is gonna be an 8-way tie. 3 and 4.
I'm sure there's a way.
No, you can't. You can have a 5-way. You can do 7. Everybody goes 4 and 3, and one team goes over. I can't have that.
3 and 3.
Yeah, it's already done. They already have.
Can't do that. That's the only way to get 7.
That'd be a shit. Hutch would kill himself, I think.
Yeah, Hutch might.
It's like we're gonna do. I don't know.
Another round
Just gonna draw the winner of the event. We're done.
Hey, you guys, you win over. But you're making this really easy. You win. You're going.
You're the only team that didn't cause me stress, so.
All right, should we go curling?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Somebody unmute me.
Get her done. Let's go.
Feels really weird.
I didn't know you had a mute button and an unmute button. That'd be
Yeah,
You're like,
you taught me
ready?
that the first time I
Okay.
ever got mic'd up. There's a mute button for when you go to the bathroom.
All right, make shots, boys. Let's go.
Yeah, let's do it.
No, I want it. Jake,
And we are back here in Draw 5 with second half action coming to you from the 2020 Curl On Under 21 Men's and Women's Provincial Championship. Team Mooibroek taking a 5-2 lead here into the second half of this game over Team Hahn. Although Team Hahn does hold the hammer here in the critical even ends and 6. What lessons are we taking from that first half if we're Team Hahn there, Perry Marshall, and what adjustments do we need to make in order to get ourselves back into contention in this game?
Well, I think
Okay,
you've
well, then
observed
don't
the skill of Team Mooibroek, and
Never,
you
Matt,
have to
don't
make
even
good
look at
shots.
it. It's always right.
You know, again, and they'll take on the difficulty. I looked quickly at the stats at the halfway point, and certainly Team
like it's
Mooibroek has
stopping.
had the difficult shots, the more difficult shots,
better
chosen
than
those,
Hack.
but they've been making them at a
So
high
three on the
enough
next
rate,
one, and
and if
drive
you're going to
right
do
into the
that, and you're going to take that on. You have to respond in kind and make the shots
just
that
hold
you
enough.
think you're capable of making, and you can't have half shots. And we've seen a few of those.
That's great
Absolutely,
shipping.
and I
Good
think the
jacket.
key word here for Team Hahn will be patience
I haven't
coming
had
into
to
this
worry.
second half. You
Sorry.
don't
Not
need to
in.
get a 3 right back to tie this game in order to get into
Not in.
contention.
You guys are here
Just
this
play those easy shots. Make
Oh,
sure
okay.
that you avoid those
Well, you learn.
critical
It's
misses
cold.
on the easy shots and
Big
just
rock doesn't
throw up
need
that
to
corner
go.
guard. Play around it when you have the opportunity. Try not to take on too much risk and just take the opportunity to put
Well,
a 2 on the board
you
when
know
you
what?
get the chance.
And here's an
Three.
example. Spencer a little deep on his one, rock behind the tee line, not the greatest spot for Team Mooibroek to start. Put up a good corner guard, and respond in kind with that little bit of an opportunity that they've created for you.
Exactly, and this is
Line's good.
Sam's going to try and respond by putting up a tight center guard. I'll be interested to
Line's
see
good,
if Ryan
yeah.
maybe ignores that situation in the center and goes around the corner,
Line's good, Ryan.
or
You
if he
wanna be
decides
nimble
to
in the
maybe
center at
play
the
the
end.
freeze on that rock in the
They
center
gotta
line and
cross it.
maybe
They gotta
take a
cross it.
little
Yeah,
bit
go,
of
Matty.
risk out of
Yeah,
the
you can sweep.
play
You're
in
not
the
in.
center to start with.
That's very good.
So an excellent center guard there made by Spencer Dunlop, and
That 8 still not good.
I guess we get our answer there. Ryan discussing the
I know he
freeze
doesn't
on
like
that
it.
rock that is
The run's
currently
fine,
sitting
it's
back
just little
4. I think if
wonky
you make a
sometimes.
pretty good freeze, it's going to be tough for Sam to come down and freeze and sit shot,
Okay,
albeit
actually.
this does take play away from that corner guard.
I think he's actually going to hit and roll a bit.
Absolutely an option as well. If they hit and roll into the open, Sam can then hit, and then you get the opportunity to play around the corner guard.
Again, not so sure I like this shot. I think I would prefer if you're going to come that way, then decide to come in, maybe sit in front of it. Before, so now we're going to get a little bit tight, and we're going to hit that top guard, and Sam's going to have the opportunity to move that out.
I'm going.
Absolutely, and I think that's maybe why my brain didn't quite jump to that shot right away. They didn't really see a lot of the back red, so I thought it was fairly tough to make the hit on that back red stone.
And
I think
again,
more often than not, you're probably rolling out on that shot rather than sticking around, so I thought they might just play the draw, but got very unfortunate to remove that center guard. Of course, with the 5 rock rule, that rock goes right back, and now Team Mooibroek has the opportunity to, just put even more pressure. And if Ryan Fies can put a good shot in the top of the 4-foot here, that's really going to swing things in Team Mooibroek's favor.
Hard line. Gotta go line.
and you have to take advantage of the opportunities created for you. There was a missed one.
Hard to not destroy the
Ryan
guard.
might give you a little bit back
Both
here.
of them in if you can. Yeah.
So as we give a quick update of the
Not giving
games
you a
that we're
massage.
watching across the other sheets,
Shut up.
over on sheet 2, Team Bissonnette with the 2-1 lead over Team McNamara. Team McNamara trying to retain their undefeated record of the week so far. Over on sheet 3, Team Steele and Team Warner both trying to add another win to their records, sitting tied at 3-3. On sheet 4, we have Team Purdy and Team Collins as well tied at 3-3. Over on sheet 6, we have Brady Lumley with a comfortable 6-1 lead over Team Rooney in 6th end of play. Sheet 7, we have Team Emily Deschênes with a 4-2 lead over Team Thorne, also in 6th end of play.
What do we do,
Over
Matt?
on sheet 8, in their 5th end break,
What do we do? Let's go rip the guard.
it looks like possibly Team Kimmel with
How's
the
Spencer going your side?
5-1 lead
Spencer,
over
that
Team
side.
Gray.
They haven't posted the score from the 5th end yet, though.
Right, so we will update you when that score goes up for the 5th end, but currently the scoreboard is reading 5-1.
And there's another example of the opportunities we talk about. There was a slight miss from Ryan Fies.
Clean.
The opportunity for a
Clean.
hit and roll gets a little
Yeah.
up on the weight, gets out, hits
Take
and
the
rolls
yellow, I
out
got the
himself,
shooter.
and now that guard that they put up early is going to be completely gone and never used.
Absolutely, and those are exactly what we talk about. Those are the shots that you just absolutely can't miss when
Leave it
you're
there.
trying to get yourself back
Thank
into
you, sir.
contention in a game like this.
2.
I'll
Curl
put it in
on.
my pocket.
So Ryan Hahn going to do the best that he can to try and salvage something here. Going to throw the corner guard up over this red rock on the side of the sheet, hoping to maybe trick Sam into not walking up and peeling it, although I wouldn't really expect that at all. I think he's going to waste no time walking up to peel that guard. Possibly Team Ryan Hahn will try to attempt to draw around one of these red stones later in the end and use them as a guard to try and generate a multiple score.
Good.
Yeah, you can certainly see that's the way this is going to set up. And again, the experience again from Sam Mooibroek, choosing the side to peel that creates the less risk. If he misses it, he's going to get the back red one, his own, which wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Absolutely, and if you did choose the other turn, you're always
going.
risking jamming that rock into your own in the house. So
Good.
excellent shot there by Matt
Little
Garner
light,
to
but
make
good.
that peel.
How's he feeling?
And that's what I said early
How's he
on.
feeling?
When that lead is 2 or 3 points from Mooibroek,
Tell him
that
the
hitting
ball's
ability
there
that
for
they
him,
have
and
in
tell him the
that,
green ball's
that
out
group
and he can use it.
really does help them.
Absolutely,
came
you
through.
just rarely see them miss those the easy shots, the open peels, and they make their fair share of double peels as well to get themselves out of trouble. I really don't think if you're Team Hahn that a blank is going to help you at all this end. I think you want to make sure go all out to try and score those 2 points. This being an even end, if you blank this end, I think you might be lowering your opportunity to come back in this game in the 7th end, although they're going to try and make a good hit and roll here.
Flop a rock, you'll be in. I like control. Roll a rock.
Blank really doesn't help him. When we look at the stats at the halfway point of the game, an 81% as a team for Team Mooibroek and 73%
Come on, buddy.
Team McNamara.
Let's go, Spence.
Team
Come
Team
on,
Hahn. So
Spence.
not a huge disparity.
Ryan, make sure.
And
fine.
again, that
That's
difficulty
fine.
degree, Sam's been ready to take that on at 3.34. But again, one of those
Fine, I'll
telling
take the
signs,
runner, but that's not a big deal.
78%, almost 79% taking the advantage of those miss opportunities.
Ball's
I
there.
think so, and I think the difference maker is when you take a
You
look
like
at your
it?
stats graph
Like me,
there.
thanks. Thanks,
Yes,
Charles.
the difference isn't that big
I
in
think you
terms
just
of
didn't sleep hard
percentages
enough.
between Team Mooibroek and Team Hahn, but they've
Wait, Ryan, I
outcurled
should
Team
sleep
Hahn every single end. And just
Bad.
sometimes you get those really close stats and they're just shifting back and forth
That's
every
all you
end,
can
and so they end up being very close. But here, Team Mooibroek outcurling Team Hahn every end, and when you do that, those little statistical differences really can magnify quite a bit.
He got the day off. Spencer at the last
And
game.
as we suspected, trying to use those rocks that were on the top of the house as guards. Ryan Hahn
Hire
asking
them for
Jake
their
Goves to
sweeping
try and
jobs.
come around here.
Not to complain.
All you got, guys. All you got. All you got.
That's
All
a
you
good
got.
shot. But again, not quite getting that finish curl coming from the inside out.
It's just
But
such
all
a
things
gross
considered,
pass,
I
right?
think it's pretty
Like,
good.
that's gonna go sideways
Buried enough
the
that
He'll-
I don't think there's any point in risking
should
trying to
move
pick
it
it
in,
out
yeah.
if you're Sam Mooibroek. So
I
just
think
going to
I'd
take
rather
on the
spin
really
to the center
short
line.
2-foot run back here. I'd expect him to be very close on
Yeah,
this shot.
That inside out is just so terrible, right?
Not bad, Jake.
This just looks a lot
Little
simpler.
deeper is ideal, but then he might.
7 meter high. Shouldn't do anything, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of conversation about what this rock is going to do with the way he anticipates throwing it.
Close.
Nothing yet. Close, they
I
like
think
the
he's
line.
got it.
This needs to curl up a little bit. Does make contact with that yellow stone, but will roll out. I think he
Good.
wasn't too worried about trying to stick around there, just making sure that yellow rock
Oh, I'm
disappeared,
fine.
and
They're never gonna take a risk.
Ryan
right?
will be
Like,
forced to blank this end
It's
and
gonna
give
be
up
6-3
hammer
going
and
in the
even
10th end,
ends.
or 5-2.
So mission accomplished here if you're Team Mooibroek.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be 5-2
Retained
going
the
into the 10th
three-point
end.
lead, gave up one other
Because,
end
well,
in the
they're
back
never
half
gonna
of the
play
end.
anything aggressive.
Evened up the hammers.
We're never gonna play anything aggressive. Oh, Ryan,
Good smart playing by Team Mooibroek.
Like, I don't get
So
it.
Ryan here taking the free opportunity to draw the open
hairline.
side. Definitely try to take some positives from this shot.
I
Hopefully
saw
his front end is maybe paying a little bit of attention to how he throws this, because they're the ones who are going to be drawing to the open side, trying to get those corner guards up and get something set up for him later on in this game.
Gotta be there.
So if he can give them a good look at what speed is required in order to make these kinds of draws, especially as well as with how much curl there is, definitely might improve their chances of setting something
This
up
is the
well
best spot, right?
in the later half.
This is probably the best spot. Normal. Roll the
So
center.
Sam looking to just remove this yellow
Try to roll
rock,
right to
maybe
the middle,
roll to the
Spencer.
middle to make
But, well, just hit
Ryan's shot a little bit harder if
Normal?
he wants to blank this end.
it. Should run okay out here, eh? Ryan threw one on
Sam
that wing
motioning
last
exactly
end. I
where
think
he
it
would
ran
like to make
fine.
this
Didn't
roll
die on
too.
you.
Before he headed down to the throwing end, he would love to roll just across the center line top button if possible.
Whoa!
Pretty
Yeah!
happy
I
with
feel
the
like they're
weight and
pretty
line.
close on this. Gonna have a pretty good roll.
And almost like he drew it up.
Rolls to the exact spot that he tapped on the sheet.
That's
So
perfect.
excellent roll there by Team
Anything near
Mooibroek
that
to make
center
this
line
as
is
tough
so
as possible
careful.
by
So
Ryan
wide,
Hahn,
right?
although not the most difficult shot here in the world to ensure his blank end.
That's
Team Mooibroek
perfect.
seems to be playing with great
Well,
confidence.
anything near that center line
Absolutely,
is
and
just
those
such a
are
mystery,
the
right?
things you have to be careful of
And
if
this
you're
could
the other
fall and it could
teams
go.
in these championships. Not only do they have the undefeated record, but they just seem to be getting better every game, rolling towards the playoffs and gaining momentum with every win that they get along the way. You know, sometimes with these championships, it can come down to who's the hottest team that week, and Team Mooibroek seems to be trending in the right direction towards the playoffs on Monday.
If I remember, wasn't that your first Ontario Championship when you were playing with Doug
You can't make two in
Key,
a row like
right?
that,
Didn't
can
they go undefeated in that?
Yep, so
Yeah.
that we were playing at the Mississauga Golf and Country Club, and we did go undefeated at that championship. And you know, the first game that we had that week was not
If he made two in a
really
row, I
that
didn't
great
see
of a
myself.
game. Ended up down 5 at the half.
No,
And we're lucky enough to make the comeback to get the win in that
that
first
spot's
game.
so
And
bad,
just
and
with
the
every
Vikings kinda
game
hold
along
them
the way,
over,
we
no
just
chance
seem to
at all.
try to
Okay,
play,
back line, here's
you know,
touchdown.
that 2 to 5% better. So
Two
not a
kicks,
lot,
hit
but
like
just
12.
trying to put a couple more shots in some good spots with every game. And we gained a lot of momentum going into the playoffs, got the bye to the final, and then we're lucky to be on the right side of the scoreboard there in that final game to go to my first Canadian Juniors. Of course, everybody else on my team had already been and had that experience, and so that was quite an awesome experience for myself, but it really speaks to just how much those teams can gain that momentum, and it can come down to who's the hottest team. That week there were a number of great teams at that championship.
You guys are having a
And
good
we saw that again, that good roll by Mooibroek, creating the opportunity to have Ryan make a better shot. Doesn't make the hit and roll away, sticks in and gives up, takes one, but again gives up that hammer advantage.
Back
Absolutely,
line.
just caught in a tricky
It's dead
spot there
here.
and over curling, which is something that we haven't seen too much. But with something that close to center line, you never know when it's going to take that extra little bit of a break across the center line. So just not curling quite enough to get across face and make that blank. So forced to take their one
Oh, yeah.
in the sixth end. Team Mooibroek now
Whoa,
leading
Matt.
5-3 with the hammer,
Yeah, Ryan.
having full control of this game in the seventh end.
Hard on that shooter. Might get a corner out of it.
Not quite the tip he wanted.
It kind of fits.
It's a little bit too much of that rock, and it'll be replaced. Put back in
Yeah.
place, and again, Ryan will now work to be quite aggressive in
I like
putting up
him.
an extra guard here.
Absolutely, and that is the one great thing about exactly where that first rock ended up. Nice and tight, so it gives Team Hahn lots of opportunity to throw another high guard up if they would like. Looks like they might have changed up the call though, and they've decided now to draw around into the rings around that guard. Not sure I'm entirely in love with that call. Maybe I might put a bit of a question mark beside that one. You have lots of room up there to throw your second center guard. You just got a miss out of Team Mooibroek, which, let's be honest, there haven't been very many of them this game. So I think this is your chance to maybe take a little bit of risk here or take the chance with a miss that was given to you to throw another center guard.
Where do you
And
want?
again, you needed to throw above the tee line. Now you're behind the tee line again.
Absolutely, and with that miss, just doesn't really help Team Hahn that much. Team Mooibroek now taking the open opportunity to get a rock into that 4 foot that
Line's
Team Hahn
good.
will have to deal with at some point. Ideally,
Line's
would love to
good.
put this top button, but I think even if
Line's
they
good,
slipped
yeah.
back, froze into
Yeah.
that yellow rock with a 2-point lead in the
Alright.
hammer, I think they'll take that as well.
All right. Gotta go,
And
Ryan.
on this one,
Line's good. Line's good, Matt.
I'm watching Matt try and drag this
Go, buddy. Let's go.
a few more
go.
inches.
Go, Matt. Sweet.
And just getting far enough to sit shot stone, so
Yes,
now,
Matt.
if you're Team Hahn, you may never get another opportunity to throw another guard. With that rock in such a great spot, you're kind of forced to do something about it. Gonna attempt to make this corner freeze here, but
Good sweeper.
maybe missed opportunity there where they could have given themselves a little bit of extra wiggle room with another guard up there.
And again, I'm emphasizing the importance of those shots early in the end by those front end players.
Whoa. Whoa. No. No. Okay, Eric.
Good freeze attempt. Just bumps a little bit, about a foot too heavy.
You throw that control here a few times.
Another opportunity for Team Mooibroek just to play that good, soft weight, hit and roll.
Easy.
Played these really well earlier in the game.
Yeah. Whoa, yeah, whoa. Matt. Gotta go, buddy.
Matt Garner now to finish this
Hard, Matt.
roll. Get that roll
Hard,
they're
Matt.
looking for.
Get under. That's a good shot.
Not quite the roll, but a good position just the same.
Double. 9.
And asking Eric just to remove both of those reds. Try and hit and stay there for 2.
Whoa.
And keeping an eye out over on some other critical games, Team McNamara coming right back, scoring with a big 4 under over Team Bissonnette to take a 5-2 lead after 6 ends. Of course, Team McNamara trying to retain their undefeated record.
That works.
And looking to be in a good position to do just that. Final draw here of moving day. We do have 2 more draws of action tomorrow, early morning and in the afternoon. Of course, we do have the night draw off as the teams relax and get the opportunity to attend the celebration banquet for this event.
Good attempt by Eric, just doesn't quite get the top one to roll
Line's
out.
good. Just sweep then.
Sam will ask Ryan to kind of come back around that guard.
Hard
I think if you're
Spence.
Ryan, you'll take the outcome of that last
Hard
shot. Didn't
Spence.
quite get that red rock over on the side,
All the
but at
way,
this
guys.
point, you're really not
Hard,
too worried
guys.
about maybe a couple red
It's
rocks
going.
hanging around in the rings. I think you're willing to
Just
take
get
the
by
risk
that
to
line,
try and
short
go
run.
hard to
Keep
get
going.
a steal.
That'll play.
If you can this end, to try and get
Okay, tell
yourself
them to throw it
maybe
harder.
back into a position where you have
Yeah, right.
a little bit of wiggle room and can fight to get yourself back into contention in this game. That shot there, another miss by Ryan Fayez, possibly the second miss we've seen from Team Mooibroek this end. So Team Brian Hahn's going to try and take advantage of this, try to sink another rock into the top 4 foot, get it into a good spot where they can continue to guard and maybe try and get some kind of a steal opportunity here.
Whoa.
This is the opportunity you've been waiting for.
Yes.
Needs a good shot by Jake Goetz.
Yes. 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 Whoa.
And they got it by.
And an excellent sweep there by the front end for Team Ryan Hahn. Gets that rock by the guard. And then, of course, gets a little bit of finish at the end. Ends up just full 8. So maybe not quite as far as Ryan would have liked it, but I think he'll take it.
And Sam won't fool around. He'll use this ability of Matt, and we will see some rocks move out.
Whoa. Yeah. Yes. Hard. Hard. Okay.
So that yellow does jam on that rock top 8, but does remove 2 yellow rocks.
Good shot.
The shooter does roll a little bit, enough to expose that yellow shot stone. So Ryan does have to be a little bit careful. Of course, we talk about the upweight ability of Team Mooibroek, and you always have to keep an eye on those 2 tight red rocks. Of course, the opportunity for the run back is always there, and if you ever guard this and they stick the run back, then they're sitting 2, and then you're going to have to come up with a good one if you're Ryan in order to escape trouble.
No, but at the same time, if we're hitting the back one, we're almost giving them a free shot at a 2. Like, that's what my worry is. I know we need to
You
be
good, Al?
patient, but at the same time, if we're not,
Aggressive at the same time.
yeah.
Good. I like the call.
You good,
Like
buddy?
a 2, like a 2.
You good? What hurts?
Oh, you've had a
There,
technical timeout
Yeah.
off of sheet.
And we got like a
4.
massage ball. I'll get one of the guys.
Yeah, I
right
was
now
keeping.
for you. Or have one of your
I
guys.
kind of just happened to
We have
look
ours
over
on the
as it
backboard
happened.
right
So
now.
Owen Purdy
Grab the
was
ball.
sliding backwards down the sheet.
Colin.
Didn't realize
Colin,
exactly
we have a
where he
little, like,
was, and
green
unfortunately
massage ball
didn't
there.
see the hack. Slid right into the hack and fell backwards onto what appears to be his leg or possibly his knee down on the ice. So he's crawled himself onto the backboard and into a chair and seems to be nursing his right shin fairly well. So a technical timeout called one sheet over from us. They're going to go over and take a look at him and see if he can continue to play and decide what they're going to do moving forward in the rest of that game. And we'll update you if we get any kind of an update on what's happening over there.
Certainly caught the attention
Actually, if you want
his
to
opponents and
so if they make this, that's pretty
curling
easy.
friends on the other sheet. So there was that momentary delay. And the call was to put up the guard, and that guard definitely overcurled. So now Sam has the opportunity
this?
to
It's all good.
either hit and roll
No, it's coming here.
or try and
No, that would
use
be great if it did,
what
but no.
looks like a good angle, or a reasonable
Sure.
angle,
Sure, boy.
to try and get rid of some of that stuff out front and maybe get the back yellow as well. But he is choosing to come into the house and hit and roll behind the corner.
Of course, an excellent show of camaraderie by everyone out there on the ice. Both teams putting a stop to the game over on sheet 4, and even Sam Mooibroek and Ryan Hahn walking over to see if Owen Purdy was okay. Of course, these people are competing against each other for the chance to possibly make their dream come true and move on to the Canadian Championships. But of course, we talk about curling being a gentleman's game, and a great show of sportsmanship by all teams out there, just making sure that their curling friend and their competitor is okay.
There you go. There's that hit and roll that they were looking for. And
I don't know.
leaked out a little
He was
bit,
at the
but
hot
still
light. He
gonna
sprinted to
force
get
them
through his
to
thing and fell.
9-5.
How you feeling now?
And so Ryan deciding,
and then
Yeah.
coaches conference again.
Byron Scott has decided that he would like to have a conversation about this shot selection.
That's the best
It looked
fight he's
like
had all
Ryan
year.
was maybe thinking that he wanted to limit a little bit of
He's
risk
faking.
this end and was looking to hit that back stone and possibly roll behind those staggered red rocks. I don't know if at this point, even if you make that shot really well, you're not going to be sitting shot. You'll allow Sam the opportunity to maybe split the rings or put a draw in a good spot and probably get his two. Looking at the scoreboard here in the situation of this game, I don't love your chances if you give up two. Sam has set up this end very well, and I think you might have to be a little bit more aggressive here and maybe try and take on that draw around those two staggered stones in the center to really try and force Sam maybe to a single pointer to come out of this end with a steal.
Agree. I think you've put yourself into this position where you're in a bit of a hole. You're still competitive. You're still in the game, but you have to be the
Not going to
aggressor.
tell us much of use. So like, we should put
So,
our
of
rocks
course,
in the
with
rings and
the
hit theirs out, right?
playing and being at the other side of the sheet, just waiting for the coach Byron Scott to make his way down to the other end, and he'll be there any second now. We're going to tune in to see what the team has to say and what Byron's input is.
Easy. Only we can make those shots.
I tried it.
Draw.
Yeah, you're pretty much married to a steal here now. Because you can't really get much hit in the back when you're basically giving away maybe a split for a couple here or just a rough and deuce, right? When you're down 5. But because you got the overlap, you might make his next shot really difficult.
So if we sink top 4, he's gonna rip. We guard.
Yeah, you very much happens.
Okay.
See, patience paid off.
And again, talking about what the likely response is to the shot that they could make.
Absolutely, and I think that was an excellent discussion there between the coach and the team. The coach sort of reminding them to maybe turn around and take a quick look at the scoreboard, of course. Like we discussed, giving up 2, you're not really in a great situation, and Honestly, if you hit that one, a 3
Yeah, I
is
think
definitely
so.
still in play if you're Team Mooibroek. So at this point, you've got yourself into a little bit of trouble, and I think you need to be the aggressive team here to get yourself out of it. Come up with a really good draw around these staggered center guards. Sam will likely run up and peel them, and then you have your own choice to make if you want to try and guard your lone shot stone or draw in and sit second shot.
Yeah, and again, if you were slightly earlier in the end, you'd be looking at that center situation, saying, I've got two guards, I've got them staggered. I'm in a good position, why not? So what's changed?
Absolutely. You came into this end trying to hope for a steal. You see, anytime you see staggered center guard, steal comes into mind. So Ryan Hahn going to attempt to utilize these rocks and get one hidden behind in a good spot.
And Ryan's been great in his draws. He has 4 draws in this game, and he's thrown at 94%.
Yes!
So
All you got, all you got, all you got.
A shot that he's comfortable with.
Okay.
Again, perhaps not thinking that's the shot that it was. Didn't go down confidently with the ability to make that shot.
Okay.
Weird. Yeah, real fresh.
Yeah, it's kind of.
So we'll never know exactly as to why the shot wasn't made as well as they would have liked, but of course you always got to talk about the communication, and we've talked in past broadcasts here this week about what happens when you call a timeout. A lot of the time the shot after that timeout is missed, and it really comes down to that communication. You spend so much time figuring out exactly what shot you want to throw that you forget to discuss how you're going to make that shot. And I didn't really hear a lot of discussion there from Ryan and his front end, albeit it could have been there, but maybe I missed it. But I didn't really hear that much of a discussion about that path, maybe who'd thrown it last, what other shots they'd seen, and trying to get as much information in order to make that shot as well as possible, and unfortunately coming up a little bit light in that path out a little bit wider, and giving Sam Mooibroek the opportunity to maybe sit 3 or possibly 4. They looked at possibly maybe playing some kind of split.
Like full 8's perfect, but we gotta be sunk. No, we gotta bury it. Right, because he just makes that double. And
Sam's draw. He's had 6 curling at 75%. So this is a shot of confidence for him.
4's fun.
Absolutely. So from that discussion, sounds like they're just trying to play the clean draw behind these center rocks. With the tolerance being obviously a little bit tight, you can make a little bit of a tap or block up that center path. But going to try and make this draw top 4 to really enforce his 1 point this end and give him the opportunity to possibly score 2 or more if he ever gets a miss out of Ryan Hahn.
Sweepers like the line. Oh, connection. That took
They
off.
might block our attack.
So there you go. Should not jinx them. Again, a shot that Sam's throwing confident.
That's not bad at all.
Throughout the game,
I
a little bit
just
light.
this.
I didn't
like,
jab
this
it
is
as
good.
much as I wanted to.
I think if you're Sam Mooibroek, he'll
think
take
that's
that
an easier
outcome. I mean,
It really
not
went.
only making the
Through
tap
their
2
hole,
sit
yeah.
3 points, but rolled a little bit.
Like I didn't mind the weight.
There may still be a port there that Ryan Hahn could draw through, but looks like he's decided that it's a little bit tight to get through and get his rock to a good spot. Of course, even if he made it through that port and drew to the top 4, always the opportunity for Team Mooibroek to slash run one of those reds on the left side into score a bundle. Deciding that he could probably get the rock to a better spot if he plays the same wide out-turn draw, trying to just draw the side of the 4-foot over on this side of the sheet.
They think it grab. Or it's getting soft.
Okay.
Of course, just played a spot very similar to this on his last one, so can imagine he's going to adjust well through a couple more feet and be close on this one.
He's got to bury it too, right? It's
Yeah, he took away that tap back as well too, the one that Ryan threw originally. So Ryan's going to have to really work hard to get this rock in behind the other.
Yes!
He threw earlier.
Yes!
The sweepers are on this one just to get it there, but I think they're going to need a little bit of curl too to get it into a good spot. You see them switch there, trying to get any kind of curl.
Okay.
Maybe just a little bit of over panicking there.
And now Sam's in a position that maybe with a Soft late come around hit. He might be able to score 3, maybe even 4. Looks like
I don't love
possibly
that.
4.
And, you know, I think that was just one of those opportunities
drop for
where
two is there,
we
though?
heard Ryan Hahn calling them on. I can't imagine it would have been for the
do you
line.
like?
So sounded more like he might have just been encouraging his sweepers on for the weight. You just have to be very
weight.
careful, because when you do that, especially when you
Think that's
are
close?
on them with that much, it sounded like they were panicking quite a bit. So I think the sweepers maybe just kept going,
Yeah,
kept
more
their
than
heads
head.
down, where they needed to really keep their eyes up and let Ryan know that
we're
no, the
shot.
weight
It's a
was
pretty big
okay,
lead.
that they didn't have to go quite as hard on that, and
only a
maybe would have
third.
had an opportunity to get a better outcome out of this
I got a
shot.
quarter. Yeah, hack weight. Looks a lot nicer down here than it did down
This could put
Spencer,
this game
remember mine.
away if
it
made
just
by,
as good out here,
by
you think?
Sam.
I think it might take off a little bit.
there. Okay, I agree. But speed-wise,
Speed-wise, it should be good.
So final rock here in the 7th end. Sam Mooibroek with one already in his pocket, but looking
Yeah,
for
go.
more, attempting to make this
Whoa.
small tap at
Yeah.
the back of the 8-foot to score 3 or 4.
They like the weight, they like the line.
Spencer,
Very
go!
close. They have Spencer
Let's
Dunlop
go.
on it now, trying to get a little bit more curl. The weight looks
All the
very
way, make
close.
Sure it goes.
Gonna come up to the nose, make the tap, remove it from the house, and score 4 to take a 9-3 lead here after 7 ends. And I think that will pretty much put the game to bed here if your team
Slash didn't
Mooibroek.
patience enough.
And they're having a conversation about where they think they are in this game and how they're going to get back into it.
What did you get on it?
75.
Okay.
Because your last one was like a 3, and so like until we got to top 12, I was like we're top 4.
Yeah. So we were wide enough.
We will see
Okay.
8th end action.
Let's make it good shots.
Finish it strong.
Yep.
Go.
And I think if
Little
you're
bit
Ryan there
forward,
having a
Ryan.
discussion with your team,
Ryan, hit it a
you
little
know
bit.
this game is
Stay
pretty much
fine
put
now.
away. Not really any opportunity to maybe get yourself back into
Like you to keep
contention.
going
So I
for
think you just
line,
have to
but
have a little bit of that discussion,
be top
saying,
four.
okay, guys, you know, this game didn't go
Come
our
on,
way, but
Ryan.
let's just do what we can to
You
try and
gotta go,
finish this
buddy.
game with 8 good shots
You
here.
gotta
And,
go.
you know, you want to come
That's a
out
good
of
shot,
every
buddy.
game with some kind of positive, and if you can come out,
Well managed,
even
Ryan. Very good.
if you
Two.
can make 8
Well
good
managed
shots
on
here
that
and
one.
score a deuce,
I didn't
even
wanna
if you
take
don't
off,
think
so I
2 is
kinda
enough
went
and you're
early
going to
and then I
shake
knew it would come
anyways,
back.
you at
That's
least
okay.
come out of this end with the,
I did
or out of
great.
this game with a positive that you can take forward for the rest of the week.
I like going like, this has to be close, or I dumped it. I
Whoa.
felt like I might have hooked it, so I'm like, Matt, go. Just tell Spency hack for the tick.
Whoa, whoa. All good. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good.
Hack! You're
Corner
probably
guard put
gonna
up by Ryan
catch
Godfrey,
that
which
to make it stick.
Sam's actually going to take an opportunity
Hack
to play
weight.
on.
No patience.
Oh man.
You know, you see this shot actually, a little bit of the advent of the 5 rock rule. What he's going to try and do is basically attempt to hit or tick this rock towards his own rock in the
Yeah.
4-foot,
Yeah!
using it as a little bit of backing. All he really wants to do is just push this Yellowstone into the house and roll out so that he has the opportunity to hit it on his next one.
Whoa! Yeah! He's just hooking it a hair.
Not
Sit. Oh. I tried.
the tap over curling,
I don't
hitting it on
believe
the
in rain.
nose.
Good try.
Pretty much nosed it.
Maybe a little bit of a blessing in disguise there if your team Mooibroek that
One.
rock did go out, didn't stay buried behind the corner guard. So Ryan Hahn going to attempt to throw another corner guard here. Hopefully right in front of the corner guard that they already have, so it makes it tough for Team Mooibroek to
One.
make a double peel later this end.
One.
And now that we're a couple of seasons into the 5 rock rule,
Hard.
what do you feel about
Hard.
the guards 2 on one
Hard,
side versus
Jake.
splitting them as we traditionally do in the
Hard.
4 rock rule?
I think definitely the play. I mean, at the end of the day, it all comes down to sort of the ice conditions that you have out there, and unfortunately, we see a little bit of a miss there by Team Hahn, not getting that rock over the hog line. But I think the way to go is the two on the same side. I think if you can utilize that, it allows you the opportunity to continue drawing down the same path as much as you can. Whereas if you go on both sides of the sheet, still the same opportunities there. But if you really want to go hard for that three, you're essentially changing up the path that you're going to have to draw later in the end. The other good thing about going on the same side is I think it makes it a little bit tougher to leave any kind of double peel for the opposition. If you do slip a little bit deep, as long as the line is good and it's dead right in front of the other corner guard that you have, most teams are going to maybe shy away from taking on that double peel a little bit. So I think it all depends on that first stone too. Of course, if that first rock ends up more halfway rather than a great tight rock like we have here, then you kind of have to go to the other side, because anywhere you go on the same side will likely leave a double peel. But with the rock here, when you get it in a good spot, nice and tight like this, you have so much room to throw another guard that you end up just deciding that going on the same side works a little bit better for the rest of the end.
So again, another attempt at a tick that doesn't quite work.
Like, they chip them around, what does that do for us?
So 2 misses by Team Mooibroek here. Been a while since we've seen that, but unfortunately with the miss by Team Hahn of not getting that second guard up, still not really much that I think Sam is going to be worried about in this end.
But again, those ticks have the greatest degree of difficulty. Very difficult shots to make, especially when they're off the center line.
Especially most teams will spend most of their time, if they do practice the tick, sort of practice ticking those rocks that are on the center line. That's where you will throw a large majority of those tick shots. But every now and then when you get a big lead like this, you do take on a couple more chances of maybe trying to tick a couple corner guards. Unfortunately, it just didn't work there for Team Mooibroek. So Ryan Hahn going to attempt to use that corner guard, draw around him, maybe do what he can to maybe come out of this end with a 2-point.
Should get a little bit of movement.
Sam Mooibroek asking Ryan Fayaz to peel off this guard.
Clean. Yep. Good, Ryan. Nice throw, buddy.
And compliments all around from the team on how that one was thrown.
2. Spence. We're happy giving up 2, right?
Now again, I agree with you at this point, Matt. Go make some good shots as a team. 2. Try and find a way to score. Feel good about yourself after 8 ends, even if you have to shake hands.
Absolutely. Just do what you can here to try and make as many shots as possible. Going to attempt to get this corner guard back up in front of their own stone to do their best to just come out of this end with 2 points.
Good sweep, guys.
That's a pretty good spot. I think you'll just expect Sam to walk up and peel.
They said they would.
What?
No real reason to make a play on that stone in the house right now. Still plenty of rocks to come here in this end. Perhaps if it gets more to Sam's first or second, then you might see him try to make an attempt on that rock in the rings.
Another shot well executed by Team Mooibroek. And although the ticks were a little unconventional, the last couple of shots were quite conventional.
Absolutely. Now that we get out of those lead shots, because of those couple misses sort of by both teams, everything has sort of just reverted back to normal here. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Team Hahn will continue to try and put these corner guards up in a good spot. I think you'll continue to see Sam just walk up and peel for the time being until it gets to his own shots. Then he might take on a little bit more of an aggressive approach to try and force Ryan Hahn to 1. And here with that corner guard slipping in a little bit deeper than they've been, Matt Garner going to take on the run double here. If he makes it, he's going to be pretty close to rolling towards the center line to guard his own stone.
Yeah! Gotta go!
Ryan Fives with the fast feet keep up that for Governor.
Oh, sorry.
And as you said, there go the two.
It's all good.
Leaves it more on the corner, so something still that Ryan can work with.
They gotta make it again at least, right? I don't mind that.
Even back is good.
Yeah, that they're missing it, right?
But that is such a weapon that Sam has, and
They do, right?
what Matt can do at Vice with that up weight.
Absolutely. When you have that upweight ability, you just have the opportunity to get yourself out of trouble so often. And just, you know, Team Hahn didn't really make that bad of a shot. Got that corner guard up in a good spot, just unfortunately slipping in a little bit deep. And we see just how sort of demoralizing that upweight ability by Team Mooibroek can be when you're down by quite a bit. Just that slight miss of going maybe 2 feet too deep, and they just put a stop to everything that you set up this end. Maybe a bit of insult to injury as Jaco slips through with his draw in that spot. So now advantage is all Sam Mooibroek here in this end. It's going to take a lot, I think, for Ryan Hahn to come out of this with a multiple score.
Right.
Probably best shot,
Okay.
That's probably. I mean, he's going back 12, right? That's how we throw it right here. Neither do I. Probably. We catch it, it's pretty good. Okay, half rock.
What?
Good conversation between Ryan and Sam about what the possibilities were for Ryan Hahn.
Because any rocks the best.
Absolutely. They talked a little bit about drawing, but I think,
No, it's true.
you know, if you take a quick look at the scoreboard, there's no point in even risking that. Why even give Ryan the opportunity to get a multiple score in this end and possibly continue playing? If you peel this guard, you're going to force Ryan, even if you don't make the double, you're going to force Ryan to maybe try and wrap one to the back of the rings, which is extremely difficult, even if he makes it very well. Just such a short run back on your last stone. Really no point in playing anything else other than this peel.
I don't really care. Sure.
Sounds like Sam really not in love with this call, and I'm not sure as to why. Taking a lot of effort from his team to talk him into this. I don't really think there's any use in throwing any. I don't really see anything else that really gives him a better opportunity than maybe just peeling this rock.
There you go. Didn't love it, but still executed well.
I see that awful.
Or don't we want him playing this though? I don't know.
That's what
I think we
happens.
You
think so?
Yeah. If not, he's just going to guard it.
Sort of just Sam just not buying into that call. I think all three members of his team were all bought in, all needed to convince him to
hit and roll.
Decide to throw it, and just, not really taking that time to make that adjustment in the hack. Just kind of got in the hack and threw it, and of course we see not the best outcome there. Maybe just a learning opportunity when you get to those kinds of things. If you're going to decide to change that shot like that, you really need to take that extra moment to really make sure that you're bought in and do everything you can to get the best outcome out of it.
Well, this work looks like it's getting away.
Hard! Okay.
Ryan's Hahn hit over curling, so just again not punishing a hit miss or slight miss by Team Mooibroek. So advantage back to Team Mooibroek here. They're going to try and attempt to throw up a guard, force Ryan Hahn to draw the button for his 1 point.
You make that all the time, all day long.
It's coming down? Like 3 feet? So I throw T-line before?
I heard the guy on G4 is like getting tired.
And talking about the change of the ice as the game has gone on.
We have your 30th end.
I didn't hate it.
Today. 50th end in 2 days.
The line's
What they think they need to throw to get the perfect guard. Sweepers like it. Looks like it's over curling a little bit.
Want to have a good old run of the double that you missed a few times?
It does overcurl a little bit, but still gets it in the 8 foot. It will do the job of forcing Ryan Hahn here. So leaves him the wide open nose hit here with the out turn to score his 1 point. And
Nose hit.
I would expect to see the gloves come off after
11.
this shot is made, I would
Get it
assume.
done right.
Perhaps the sound of Velcro.
11, is that too little?
Okay, Ryan, focus on making a good shot.
I'll be solid with it.
Absolutely. You want to come out of this game with a positive. So if you can make this shot really nice, come out with a little bit of confidence moving forward into tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, whoa.
Sweepers on it a little early.
Yep.
Back off.
Whoa. Whoa.
And look like they're happy with that.
And an excellent hit there, right on the nose for his 1 point.
You're getting
As expected, we have handshakes here on sheet 5.
Oh, I can get it.
Oh, you sure?
Team Mooibroek coming out with the win, improving their record to 5-0. Ryan Hahn dropping his 4th game, moving to a record of 1-4. And I think it's going to take a lot of work if you're Team Hahn and a lot of lucky results from maybe some of the other competitions out here in order to get yourself back into playoff contention.
And I think that was an impressive game by our current leaders. Again, curling at about 76%.
Oh,
But again,
no, I
taking
think we're
on the
already out.
difficulty. 3.4 difficulty throughout that game. So taking on the hard shots and making them.
That is quite impressive, and we'll keep an eye on this team moving forward for the rest of the weekend. Of course, this is not our last day. We have one more day of round-robin action tomorrow. 2 draws at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., but first up at 10 a.m. features Landon Rooney taking on Team Owen Purdy. Of course, there are still 6 games going on here at the Guelph Curling Club. We invite you to follow the scores online at ontcurl.com, where you can follow every team's action and every game.
Maybe we can give one last update as we
Absolutely,
get ready
let's
to
do
sign
that,
off here.
Perry. So, going across the sheets, let's start with sheet 3. Looks like Team Maddie Warner down 6-5 over Team Steele, playing in the 9th end.
With Steele with the hammer in the 9th end. So again, Maddie was able to close the gap there in 8, but still down a point and hopeful that they don't have a 3-loss day.
Moving over to sheet 4, we have Team Owen Purdy up 5-4, playing the 8th end with the hammer, so seem to be in control of that game. We have Team Brady Lumley with the 6-4 lead with the hammer, playing 8, so seem to have control over there.
And Brady looking at an opportunity to score a 3 with a good shot here to finish off, maybe even 4. So it could be handshakes here if there's a good shot from Brady to finish off this game.
Over on sheet 8, we do have handshakes, so it looks like Team Keemel was able to close it out against Team Gray and improve their record back to 3-2. Team Gray dropping, I believe, their 4th game of this championship, going down to a record of 1-4. Looking back over at another big game, Team McNamara taking a 6-3 lead over Team Bissonnette, so attempting to improve their record to 5-0, looking towards the playoffs. And over on sheet 7, it looks like Team Deschênes with a 6-3 lead, possibly more. We'll wait for the score to go up, but seem to be in control of that game over Team Thorn. So that concludes action for us here on this Saturday night at the 2020 Curl On Under 21 Men's and Women's Provincial Championship. We invite you to join us tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And for now, good night and good curling.